Start streaming.
Nice. I'm going to host this stream. So give me a second, please. Unfortunately, my social guy is not here.
Oh, I forgot. Right
What?
I didn't have time to contact him.
For what? Oh, yeah, that's fine. I'm doing it already.
Yeah. Huh?
Livu Bor is offline. There's no streaming. Guys, you guys don't really matter. We're only concerned with Twitch. So just chill out. Once we get Twitch worked out, then we'll start being concerned with you guys. That's a joke. I'm making a joke. It's okay to laugh. Livu Bor is offline. There I am. No streaming. Guys, you guys don't really matter. Double me. We're only concerned with Twitch. So just chill out. Once we get Twitch worked out, then we'll start being concerned with you guys. That's a joke. I'm making a joke. It's okay to laugh. Livu Bor is offline. There I am. Streaming. Guys, you guys don't really matter. Double me. We're only concerned with Twitch. How do I,
So just chill out. Once we get Twitch
Pepper,
worked out, then we'll
how do I
start
host?
concerned
I've
with you
never,
guys.
this is
That's
not
a
me.
joke.
This is
I'm
some
making a
guy I
joke.
pay.
It's okay to laugh. Livu Bor is offline. There I am. Guys, you guys don't really matter. Double me.
So to go to my thing. That's Livu Bor.
Twitch.
How do I,
So just chill out. Once we get Twitch
Pepper,
worked out, then we'll
how do I
start
host?
concerned
I've
with you
never,
guys.
this is
That's
not
a
me.
joke.
This is some guy I pay.
It's okay to laugh. Livu Bor is offline. There I am. Guys, you guys don't really matter.
Feedback. Oh, I was going to do something cool.
Don't you need to mute your Twitch?
Oh, yeah, I will. 1 second. Yeah, that's it? What? That's dumb.
Do two host commands remaining.
That's dumb.
Is it dumb or is it really easy? You just didn't know it.
It's dumb. It's stupid.
It's easy.
It's dumb stupid. Yeah, it was great. We folded space-time. Hi, guys. How are you? Who are you? I mean, I know who you guys are in general, but who are you guys? You guys are new, right? Some random dudes from Romania. That's awesome.
I'm alive.
You're alive. Lucian. That's your name. Where are you guys from? What do you guys do? Just chill out? You guys can talk. It's okay.
I'm making this point-and-click adventure game.
I know that. I'm here for that. Who are you? What do you do?
I'm a future student at the university.
So you're not yet a student.
Not yet.
Future
Not
student.
September.
You've spoken to yourself from the future, and he's like, I made it. I'm in. Awesome. Cool. Future student, what are you?
Same thing.
Same thing, future student. Lucian, who are you?
Current college dropout, hopefully future graduate.
I can tell you, college dropouts rule. Who are you? Student. So that's why you're away from the non-students. You.
I'm a bartender.
Nice. You're required for society to function. You, sir, who just came in, who are you and what do you do?
I'm Nico, photographer.
Photographer, that's nice, cool. I'm Don Thacker, I'm a filmmaker. I make movies. I also make video games. I'm here working on Gibbous, a Cthulhu Adventures. You guys know about Gibbous, right? Yeah, all of you, all 6 of you totally know, right? Because it's like the only, it's a thing, it's a big thing, yeah. Okay, so I was asked to come here to talk to you guys about making movies, but first I have to prove that I know how to make movies to you. So I'm going to show you my company intro, and then I'm going to show you my reel, and then you'll know I'm not just some loud guy yelling at you. So I'm going to do that first, okay? It's going to take about 2.5 minutes. I think you guys can wait. And then we'll get into like what we're going to talk about tonight, and then I'll ask you a bunch of questions. Wait, no, you'll probably ask me a bunch of questions. That's probably what's going to happen. This is a thing.
You have a great view.
I see the mirror.
That was intentionally retro, right?
No, that's totally Whoa. That's totally modern. No, yeah, this is obviously intentionally retro. Yes, exactly. Okay, so that is my little intro thing. Oh, man. There you go. Then I'm going to show you something else real quick. It's my reel like I told you about. Stand by. Oh, it's that. right, here's my reel. It's really awkward sitting here while it goes on. This is even more awkward. Oh, look, it's my name.
Activating what the memory subject.
Camera rolling? Throw.
She made paradise. An actual paradise.
Oh, you're clapping. That's awesome. It's really good of you to clap. Thank you very much. That's so weird hearing myself. Okay, cool. So, because normally I'm big enough that I'm only hearing my own echoes and not my echoes coming through a speaker. It's going to get some feedback probably. So, you guys are here because you want to know about films. Obviously, that's what you came for, right? I mean, these guys came here because they're kind of responsible for me. And she's like the sister of one of the guys who's responsible for me. And big mess. But, and then she actually works at a place. She's on her phone because she's working. But you guys came because you're my friends. You came, and you too. You're going to be part like this. You guys came because you want to know about films. That's cool. What I want to talk to you first tonight, I'm doing 2 of these, tonight and then Friday night, I'll do another one. Tonight I want to talk primarily about what it takes to get into making films if you don't make films. Right? So you, like pre-student, this is good for you. You drop out, you probably try to make a bunch of films and failed a bunch, that's why you came. And the photographer, you just want to like think about how wrong I am about literally everything I'm saying, which is super good. Oh, you don't? That's good. You want to be involved? That's good. Okay, cool.
No, I want to evolve.
You want to evolve? Even better. Because I don't know how you could possibly be involved. I just said that. It's okay. So what I want to talk to you about first is what filmmaking is ontologically. Filmmaking is storytelling, right? Well, that's easy to say, but what is storytelling? Storytelling is communication of ideas to somebody that's not yourself. I mean, you can tell yourself stories, but that's kind of boring. Or kind of fun, but then you're insane. So the idea of storytelling is one that's been passed down since the dawn of man, right? Like that's we started the reason we know men go like way back. Lucian, are you gonna be on your computer the whole time?
I'm just gonna take a few notes.
You ever see those videos where the guy takes it and he cracks it and like throws it out the window? Because we can make one of those right now if you want. You're taking notes, legitimately?
Yes.
Cool.
Filmmaking equals storytelling, just wrote that.
You wrote that. You couldn't have. This wouldn't have worked for you. You needed to.
Notes to have reminders.
Okay, good. I haven't said anything complicated yet. This is going to take forever. He's going to write a book. He's going to publish the book. There's going to be pictures of me. I'm not going to get any royalties. This is going to be terrible. Okay, so the reason we know human beings existed in certain places, I think actually in Romania, one of the places, right, way back forever ago, is because we see evidence of human beings on like cave paintings. And what are those cave paintings of? Do you know? They're of like little people and like big animals, big giant animals. Little people with little triangles on the end of a sticks because they were stabbing the animal. But if you ever notice, the animal's always huge and the people are always tiny, right? You know why? Storytelling. These guys want ladies, and they want to come and say that thing that I dragged home, but it was so fucking big. It was the biggest thing ever. It took 6 of us, and we all stabbed it a million. It was storytelling. It was changing reality slightly just to make life a little less boring than it normally is, or a little less futile than it normally is. That's the first pieces of communication that we know of human beings were stories, or telling stories. Even if they weren't, even if they just had a terrible ability to draw and their scale was all off, they were still describing a thing that happened in an abstract way, right? They were taking an event or an idea that they had and they were presenting it. Maybe they weren't telling you what they did, but what they wanted to do. They were saying, hey, we should go get one of these things. If we get 6 of us together, doing this, like they had right? And like with a stick. Like if we took 6 of us and went out there, we could probably get that, but it's all communication, right? So the root of storytelling is communication, and as such, the root of filmmaking is also communication. There's a phrase that I like to use. One day I'll be famous or something, and then people will say, Don Thacker said, but not now, I'm just some guy. But one day, perhaps, maybe, this will like stick with somebody. There is no single audience filmmaker. There's no one who started with nothing and bought a camera and got a microphone and got lights and built a set. He became a carpenter and built a set, and he cast himself and he made his own costumes and he wrote the script and he put the camera on and he built a robot to move the camera around, and then he because static shots are boring, so he had the big robo crane or whatever. He built that, and then he got in front of the camera and acted the movie. And then took the movie out, edited the movie, colored the movie, wrote the soundtrack to the movie himself, sound designed the movie himself, released it by his own burned DVDs, and then broke it in half and burned it. Like nobody's ever done that. And if you have, it's a crazy guy that we don't talk about. That's not why you make films. That's not why you make any art, really, is to bury it. That doesn't happen. So when you make films, you're primarily making a contract between yourself, the guy who did all this other. Even if that guy did that, the minute he takes that DVD and hands it to somebody, he's involved another person, or his audience. So ontologically, like I said, filmmaking is communication. It's communication to your audience.
Large scale, because it can reach far more people than what we have here.
Yes.
It can reach millions.
Right, totally. That's definitely a thing. That's actually like 2 chapters further along than where I am right now. Maybe you saw, you got future him called you on the phone. It was like, he's going to start talking about scale in a minute, and then you texted you. So I'll get there, I promise. You're going very fast. Very good. What's important about this is then you realize that the filmmaker only has 50% control of the media, ever. You should listen to this part. The creator is only responsible for 50%. For example, I made a film in 2010, I shot in 2010, released it in 2013 called Motivational Growth. I wrote what I thought was going to be a heady, indie, dark comedy, drama fantasy with a bunch of weird, twisted ideas in it. It was going to be really cool. I sent it off to festivals. I went to 33 festivals. I won 28 awards, 15 best of fests, and all those festivals were horror movie festivals. Well, 2 of them weren't. 2. They were either midnight movie festivals or horror movie festivals. The audience told me my movie was a horror movie. If you look at Ain't It Cool News, they said it's one of the most original horror movies you've ever seen. Well, because it wasn't a horror movie. So of course it's original. It doesn't follow the mold. It absolutely does. Interpretation totally makes a difference. It changes your actual product, okay? So this is something that you need to know. Before you start making films, before you start writing, to be a storyteller, you have to understand that your audience is 50% of the process. You have to know your audience, and then you have to have a story to tell that audience. So as a storyteller, you have to go in with that knowledge. Then you have to know something else. Do I have a story to tell? If you want to be a filmmaker because you think Michael Bay is cool, first off, objectively you're wrong. Second, you shouldn't be making movies for that reason, because you want to be a filmmaker. That's the wrong reason. I'm looking at you specifically because younger dudes are always like, yeah, I just want to do that. You have to have a reason to want to do that. Not to say that you don't. You probably do.
I think the very basic.
You're like my best friend. Like, I'm not getting paid for this. I hope you're not getting paid for this as well.
No.
Okay.
But I think the very basics is you should have a beginning, an end, and those should be tied together by a message.
Did you come with someone else's notes, and now you're just reading those notes?
I figured out
Good.
myself.
We'll get to that. That's like 4 chapters away from where we are right now. You are traveling through time right now. This is incredible. You have to. There are people that I know objectively aren't as fast as you that I have to speak to right now. You have to like help me get there. It's cool. Just if you could just type literally every word I say, I think that will keep us both occupied. Okay. So I don't even know where I was anymore. Okay, I know where I was. Let's get back to. So as a storyteller, you have to have a story. You have to have a reason to be a storyteller. If you want to be a storyteller and you don't have a story, then sorry, I want to be a billionaire. I just don't have $1 billion. All it takes is for me to have $1 billion to be a billionaire. All it takes for you to be a storyteller is to have a story. If you don't have a story and you're a storyteller, you're in dire straits unless you're doing it professionally, in which case, like some paid directors or paid writers, they get told what story to write, and then they use all of their years and years of acumen to do that. But there's a problem with that. Those are people who origin the story, right? A filmmaker is not the origin of the story, ever. There's a writer who's the origin of the story. Sometimes that is the filmmaker. I've done 34 projects, and I've written 31 of them. So I am by default a writer. I did it because I wanted to make projects, and I wanted money for projects, and I wanted to do this art, and no one would write it for me. So I had to do it myself. I'm not a writer. I guess I'm technically an award-winning writer by trade, but not on purpose. I had to be the writer to be the storyteller, because the filmmaker as a storyteller doesn't. A filmmaker is a process that begins with storytelling and plans and stories, and then it comes to the filmmaking part. And this is chapter 2. To be a filmmaker, there was this older idea, 90s idea. Robert Rodriguez. Oh, let's actually jump into psychology for a second. Do you guys know about cognitive biases? Do you know what a cognitive bias is?
Something you prefer?
That's one of the things. A cognitive bias is we have 6 established cognitive biases in the human brain. One of them, what I'm going to talk about, is called. There's preference bias. Let's go through a couple of them. Survivorship bias. That's the idea that if somebody did a thing and won, then you can win too, right? Or the person who did the thing and won will say, "Well, it's easy. I did it." You ever get one of those people you meet and they just lucked out and they're like, "Why don't you do this?" Like they. Like somebody gave them a bunch of money and then they bought a car with the money, and like, "Why don't you have a car?" They're like, "Well, I don't have any money." And I'm like, "Well, I bought a car. It's no big deal." Like that's survivorship bias. They made it. And it comes from the idea that if I survive something, then obviously everybody in the same situation would survive it. I am now prone to believe that that's a survivable situation, even if randomly I survived it, even if I would normally not have survived it. One of the important ones is confirmation bias. This is the biggest human bias. It's like, I think green is the best color, right? So if you show me 3 cars, the green one is the best car. And if it's not the best or fastest car, there's something wrong with it there's something like uniquely wrong with that car, because I like it because it's green. Now that's a very simple version. A better version is, I hate to jump into religion or something, but I think, I'll jump into religion, but I'll do a safe one. I think Wicca is real. I think there are witches, right? And I think that if I study enough and I brew enough stuff, and I knew a guy who did this in real life in high school. So if I take leaves and I crush them up and I boil them and I drink them and I go like this, I can make the wind move, right? So this guy would take us out into the forest, all these like the freshmen, he'd take us out in the forest, he'd be like, "I'm gonna show you something incredible." He lights the fire and he says a bunch of dumb shit. And he drinks the thing, he goes like this, and he waits. We're in the middle of the fucking forest. 15 minutes later, the leaves start moving. Because we're on the planet Earth, we're on a closed atmosphere with pressure differentials and variance. It doesn't matter. He did it. He believed he did it. He did this for long enough, and the thing happened. He confirmed his idea that if he did this magic, the wind would happen. You can't make him like materialize money or like not be a jerk. He can make wind happen, right? Because he then uses that to confirm that he can make wind happen. It just takes a while sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes it's really fast. Sometimes it happens before he even did it, because it knew, his power was so great. Subconsciously, he made the wind happen. It's confirmation bias, that's the thing. One of the biggest biases, like I talked about, though, was survivorship bias. And survivorship bias is really important for this conversation because there's a filmmaker, Robert Rodriguez, incredible filmmaker. He made El Mariachi, which then he turned into Desperado as a sort of like the Desperado 2, whatever. Then he made, I don't know if you guys ever heard of, he did make Planetary, he made part of Planetary, yeah, that's true. He made the kids movies, the Shark... Spy Kids. There you go, you're on it. This is the greatest thing. I'm going to take a rest and you can come up here. He made Sin City, good movie, right? Sin City's pretty good. Good filmmaker, totally awesome dude. The only issue I ever took with him is that when I was younger, he was saying a bunch of stuff, and it was very easy. If you want to become a filmmaker, Just say you're a filmmaker. Now you're a filmmaker. And then you have all these kids in the 90s, hundreds of thousands of kids going, I'm a filmmaker! And then completely spending the next 10 years of their lives failing at making films, and then being all broken up about it and hating things forever.
Tommy Wiseau happened.
Tommy Wiseau, we're not getting into that guy. Yeah, that's be a millionaire, and then you can be a filmmaker. So the problem with the say you're a filmmaker approach, in my opinion, I'm just some dude, right? I don't have my own studios. I didn't leave the Directors Guild of America because I'm too cool to be in it like Robert Rodriguez did. I didn't do any of that. What I did do is start making films. I didn't say I was a filmmaker until I could pay my rent with my movies, because that's like if you're a bookbinder, if you bind books for a living, you only tell people you're a bookbinder when you have the job, right? If you make shoes for a living, you tell people you're a shoemaker if you have the job. Like if you're a programmer or an artist, you tell people but for some reason you're allowed to just say, I'm a filmmaker. Really, I work at the Starbucks or the McDonald's or something, but I'm a filmmaker, not a guy who works at McDonald's. That's just not true. You can say it, but what I feel that does is it sets you up for failure. It says, well, why can't I just make movies now? I've said it. I think what he was trying to get at, and this is probably totally the case, was go make movies, right? Go start making movies. You're gonna make the worst movies when you first start making movies, ever. But you need to start making them and not stop. So that's chapter 2, very simply. Saying you're a filmmaker is not enough. Making movies makes you a filmmaker, eventually.
Simply put, it's the other way around. You should do them, then say you're
Correct, that's a good point. There's an interesting notion that a lot of people fall into, which is, do you want to be a thing or do you want to do the thing? What's cool is the benefits of being the thing. Let's say I want to be famous. I want to be Tom Cruise. A little taller than Tom Cruise. I want to be my size Tom Cruise. My height Tom Cruise. The issue with wanting to be that and just wishing it, maybe one day I'll be Tom Cruise, is that even if I get to be Tom Cruise for a minute, I won't know what to do with it, right? So he's like, cool, you're Tom Cruise. I need you to be in Mission Impossible 6. I need you to hang from the side of a plane and jump off a building. Go for it. I'd be screwed. I don't know how to do any of that. I've never done any of that before. I don't know how to actually do the Tom Cruise thing. I could get the benefits of being it, but if instead I attempted to be Tom Cruise. I spent my whole life studying and working and looking at my face, looking in the mirror, and did all the stuff that I needed to do, like become an actual actor, and I did all the business, and I did all the, let's ignore the religion thing. I did all the other stuff to be, yeah, right, exactly, and like made really weird comments on Oprah or whatever. What if I got to do all that by default? I would be Tom Cruise. I mean, I would be Don Cruise or whatever, but like, I would be an actor. I'd be a famous actor if I worked my entire life to do that. Maybe not a famous one, but I'd definitely be an actor. Filmmaking is exactly the same way. The way you get to tell people you're a filmmaker is by showing them your films. That's why the first thing I did was show you a clip with like 20 different projects in it to show you this is something I actually do. I am a this doer. Me getting up here and saying I'm a multi-billionaire. Did you guys know that? I'm not going to show you like even $1. But I can just tell you that. It doesn't matter what I tell you, right? You have to do it. You have to be it. When you do it, you will be it, is what I mean to say. So doing equals being, not the other way around. Saying you want to be a thing or wanting to be a thing. Wanting to be a filmmaker won't make you make movies. And also, if you want to be a filmmaker, you're probably also in it for the wrong reason. If you're in love with the craft, how do I say this appropriately? When you're younger, you date somebody of the opposite or same sex, depending on your whatever, the first person you date is probably the wrong person, right? Maybe. I don't know. But sometimes it's the case. 89% of the times, the first person you have no idea. You just say, well, she's cute or he's cute or whatever, and you go with that. I'm going to do that forever. And it ends up not being necessarily the right idea because you made the decision with an inexperienced mind, right? You're not in it for what it's like to live with somebody or what it's like to deal with somebody leaving the dishes in an appropriate place or like not putting the shoes away or something. That's not what you're thinking about. You're thinking, oh, look, she's got really nice, really giant eyes and they're really beautiful and I really like her eyes or whatever you think. You make inappropriate decisions because you don't have the experience. After you date a few people or you spend a bunch of time with people, you recognize that, oh yes, the eyes are incredible eyes, but unfortunately she does things I don't like at all. And like when she eats, she chews with her mouth open and it's really annoying, or like whatever other weird things happen that make you start to realize there's a lot more to this relationship thing than just like seeing it and wanting it. Same thing with filmmaking. If you want to be a filmmaker, you need to know trades, a lot of trades. As a director, myself, I need to know 7 different departments easily. I need to know what all those 7 different departments need to do all of the time. I need to be able to tell that, intelligently tell the head of a department, the art department, for instance. I need to intelligently describe my idea to that person. Now, that doesn't mean I sit there with whatever, I don't even know if you guys even know what that thing's for, the director's scope, the director's viewfinder. Just do this and get pictures. Take a picture, I'm on point. Okay, now I'm a filmmaker. That's not how it works. A director's viewfinder is a very important tool. What he's telling the art department is a very important lesson. He has to know everything the art department does. If I ask as a director for the art department to do something, it's going to take 3 days, but I only have 1 day to shoot. That's a problem. I'm doing my job wrong. I'll get my assistant director, he'll get all pissed off. He'll be like, but I'm trying to make a schedule. I'm like, no, I want this, damn it. I'm an artist. It won't work. So I have to know that. I then have to know what the lighting situation is, how to light a thing. I have to know how the camera operates. I have to know how actors work, which is you'll never know in your entire life. They're alien creatures from another planet. But you have to know how actors work. You have to understand how wardrobe works. You have to understand like 130 years of cinematic framing and painting and all this. You have to know all of this stuff. So how can you just say I'm a filmmaker and be a filmmaker? It doesn't make sense. So that leads into chapter 3. Chapter 3. Tradecraft versus moment craft. Okay, these are important things to know about. When entering this field, you'll have 2 types of artists. The truth is there's only one type of actual filmmaker, but you get these younger, or I guess I should say immature, because I've met plenty of 55-year-old immature dudes who have the wrong idea. You get either, and I'll use actors as an example, you get either the guy who has to become the character, right? The Daniel Day-Lewis style method actor who can only act if you refer to him as the character's name, and he has to wear the character's clothes all day long, and he has to live in a wooden shack out in the woods and like whatever. That's a method actor. And I'm not saying that method is inappropriate, but I'm just saying there's more to it. And I bring up Daniel Day-Lewis because he actually isn't only that, and we'll get to that in a second. Then there's the tradecraft. There are some actors, Robert De Niro is a perfect example, who they use tradecraft way more than moment craft. That's not to say that he doesn't use moment craft, he totally does. He's more a tradecraft actor. He knows where to stand. He knows what his face looks like on camera. He knows when the camera's at a medium shot with the lens, like what his face looks like. He can make a face to that. He knows mechanically what's going on. He knows how to take direction well. He memorizes all of his lines. He doesn't leave the character. He does the right thing. And I'm just guessing. I've never worked with him. I'm just, after watching the same DVD special features you guys have and meeting a couple people that I know who have worked with him, that's all so I'm just guessing, right? But it just seems like that's the case. And really, it's not super important. It doesn't have to be Robert De Niro. It can be any given actor here, right? There are actors who are very mechanically sound, who they'll always hit their mark, they'll always say the line the same way. Every time during rehearsal you can tell them how to do something and they'll learn that and only do it that way. Then you have the method actors and those guys who live in the moment. If I'm off my mark, they will change the way their character presents because obviously me being over here versus being over here will change the whole scene and they'll feel it inside. And the problem is if the actor's only a method actor, you can't tell him to stand right there. The camera is a big, long, complicated move. It's going to do 16 different points and land on a character's face. It's going to be 3 inches from his face, so the depth of field is going to be difficult. It's going to be very hard to manage, but the actor, he's too in it, and now he's over here. And the camera lands here. He's over here doing some magical thing. That's going to fail, right? So you need to have some element of both tradecraft. Pardon? Order, yeah. Tradecraft is understanding your trade. Understanding what you do as an actor or a gaffer. Do you guys know what a gaffer is? Who knows what the gaffer is? Hand up. The one with the lights, that guy, yeah, the electrician, the lead electrician. You have to know as the DP what you're doing. DP, that's easy, right? You should know that. Director of photography, cinematographer, yeah. These are terms that we use in the States, so I don't know if they're universal. I know that when I went to Japan, I'm talking to a team in Japan, we're going to shoot something, I think in a couple weeks, oh shit. They have totally different phrases for everybody, and I'm like, I need a DP, I need this guy, and they're like, I don't know what you're saying, man. I'm like, oh shit. So anyway. Tradecraft is knowing the mechanisms of making film, knowing what the lighting looks like, knowing what all this, just where you need to stand, what needs to happen to make the film mechanically happen. Moment craft is the art of telling a story with like painting with light. The DP can have moment craft very easily. He can say, hold on, I know that it makes sense for these 2 actors to face each other. But what if I move the camera here and we open the light slightly and we put some slats across this guy's eyes and we get all close into his face and then it applies with the light, with the rain coming outside, it looks like he's crying. That's beautiful. Oh my God. That's a beautiful moment craft. However, if it doesn't fit the scene, it doesn't matter, right? Like that, the guy's not supposed to be crying. He's actually very happy right now. So you have to balance these two things, tradecraft and moment craft. And sometimes with filmmakers, you get caught up in, most of the time it's the moment craft. A lot of wannabe filmmakers like this, oh, Stanley Kubrick, he always uses these lines. So when I put together a scene, I'll make sure all the lines go like this. They'll all go into like this infinite, right? So all the lines will always go this way. My actors don't know what they're saying. I don't know how to focus the thing. It's lit like shit. The writing's terrible. The story's crap. But look, it looks like Stanley Kubrick. That's bad, right? You need to know all of it as a filmmaker, right? As a guy who generates films, when you watch every single frame of a film, you need to be the guy who understands how each one of those frames were made. Now, you're going to make a trade-off. There's kind of a divergence, but you're going to make a bit of a trade-off, which is if you like watching movies, like a lot, if that's like your favorite thing, you hang out, it's where you take dates or whatever, probably don't be a filmmaker because they stop making sense as fantasy flights. When you know when you look at a frame and say, okay, example, my friends invited me to watch a film, a Romanian film, it was very good. And my girlfriend was there watching the film with me. And she wanted to watch this interesting Romanian film. And the first 5 shots, I was like, they have the dolly set on like this side axis that you can see they go forward and they move backward in the camera. And she's looking at me like, I'm trying to read all this Romanian, this is a really weird, and I was just, and then finally I was like, I'm sorry, I'll shut up. And the whole time in my brain, I'm just like, oh yeah, I see how why did they do it this way? And your brain just gets caught up in it. If you understand the tradecraft and the momentcraft deeply.
Of magic,
it's gone, there's no magic. And filmmaking is not magic anymore. But that's important because you become the magician, right? Like imagine becoming a magician and going to the magician's club or whatever, and they show you how to do, they have those. I know there's one in Chicago, there's literally a magician's club. You have to like pay a bunch of money and then like, there are like 3 stages. This is dumb, I'm sorry, this is an aside, but it's really stupid because I wanted to like learn how to do tricks. So I was like, can I join your club? It's gonna be awesome. They get like a card and a little hat or whatever. These guys were dead serious. They were like, actually, you have to be suggested by a member who's been a member for at least 10 years. I'm like, it's magic though. Like, what are you talking about? Why do I? And they had like 3 layers. Like there's this, you go into this room, and there's like, you talk to the one guy, and then like that's one level of the club. And then when you're like 5 years in, you can go like one room further. And then I don't know what they show you. Maybe they show you that like they were lying to you in the other room, and this is how you actually do magic. And then at 10 years, you get to one deeper, which is where they're probably showing you the big like cauldron where they actually get magic from, like real magic or something.
When they put you in
Yeah.
and then they kill you.
Yeah, exactly right. It's like, it's beautiful. And you go, nobody ever comes out of there. Yeah, it's wonderful. So anyway, to become a filmmaker, you need to understand all of these aspects. And I'll get into these aspects very briefly, each of them in a short moment. But I want you to understand that it's not an easy job. It's not a fun job. You can have fun doing it, but just like any actual like bit of work. I'm sure, like, I've seen a number of statues. Too many statues. You guys have too many statues in Romania. I've seen a number of gigantic monolithic statues. Now granted, the context in which those statues were built, maybe this is an inappropriate statement, but I'm sure somebody wanted to make statues at some point, right? In making those statues, those big pieces of art, you have to have a commitment to it. You have to know, they're not all terrible statues, they're actually pretty great statues. And you can force somebody to do some work, or somebody can get paid to do some work and not really want to do it, and it won't look great. It won't feel great. There are some really beautiful giant pieces of statues or architecture here that I've seen that are just incredible. Somebody had to like put into those things. Like we were at Sighișoara and there's just 1,000-year-old architecture, and you could tell it like hand placed. They put all those, like the tiles on the roof. Somebody had to put those. Yeah, there was a roof guy, but they probably got the best roof guy. Thacker, yeah, so the guy who makes roofs. I don't make movies, I make roofs. That's why I was so interested in Sighișoara. No, but the idea though is if you want to make a piece of art, a big piece of art, and granted, films are not like roofs. They're not like statues. They're something that you have to publicly present, and then somebody has to voluntarily. Like I've seen all these statues not by choice. I just drove by and there's a big ass statue. That means something. Same with architecture. You need that or you don't have a building, right? So films are something. You can choose to have a film. You can choose to watch a film. They're voluntary entirely. So when you make a piece of art that you're voluntarily making, we'll get into the business, and at the very end we'll get into the shitty business part. But you're voluntarily making the thing, and you want to have other people voluntarily watch it. You have to give it a lot of love and care and understanding, which means you have to know way more about your movie, way more about your ideas, way more about the craft of filmmaking, and then the moment craft, so the trade craft and the moment craft of filmmaking, than you do now, than you do as somebody who's just interested in listening to some random guy from the United States talking about movies. Like, you need to love film so much so that you stop knowing what the end result of a film is. You have to start knowing what every step of the film is instead. You have to be able to say, like, I'm sure a woodworker or a carpenter or whatever could look at these chairs and tell you why they're good or why they're not good or whatever. I'm sure each one of you, like, you're a photographer, you see photography, you see people taking pictures. That guy used a dumb Instagram filter, you probably think at some point. That's not a real photographer, that guy's a jerk.
Wrong focal length.
Wrong focal length.
Painting process, yeah.
You have to say with your teeth all clenched, it's the wrong thing. You see that, right? It's hard for you to look at a photograph and be like, oh yeah, that's art. You see, oh yeah, well, probably could have framed it 2 inches to this way and get your rule of thirds would be respected or whatever. Yeah, so that's important stuff. So that's like barrier of entry. Give up movies. Watch every movie you can. I watch movies daily. I sometimes go to the movie theater like 3 times a week. That's all I do is make movies and games, tell stories. So I'm completely involved in this. But if you plan on becoming a filmmaker and collecting cars and becoming like a parachutist and going to the park every week or what, go work at McDonald's, go work somewhere, go work become an accountant or something. This is something that the world doesn't need. The world doesn't know they need. The world does need art. They need communication. They need movies. And I'll tell a cool story about it. These guys have heard already, but I'll tell a story about it in a minute to show you how the world needs it. But they don't need this stuff. They don't know that they need this stuff. They do need a car. They do need food. They do need electricity. They need accounting. They need business. They need all this shitty stuff that gets in the way of making movies. So you're going to do something ostensibly voluntarily until you're like super famous. You're going to do something voluntarily, and you're going to try to get a bunch of volunteers to watch it. That's hard. That's a hard sell. So you have to love it, and it's going to kill you. How many hours do you work a day? Do you even work? You probably work. You don't work at all? God, you should sit in the back there. Can't relate to you. You, how many hours do you work? 12 hours a day. What do you do, like, for a living?
Like 8 hours a day, I do like sites, small sites, logos, like graphics.
Design.
Yeah,
Designer.
photo related,
Sure.
editing and stuff like that. And afterwards, I edit my other photography.
You do your art.
Yeah.
So you spend your day doing a profession that helps your art,
Yeah.
and then you do your art.
Exactly.
If I told you today, pick, keep doing what you're doing, or just do your art all day, which would you do?
Of course.
The art. How many hours do you think you would work? How many hours would be too many hours a day to work on your art? 24 hours. 25 hours, because that's how many hours a day. This guy's got it. That's what it's going to be like.
I like doing that, so it doesn't matter the time.
Exactly.
The time, the temperature, I don't know.
Doesn't matter at all. Yeah. So I'm a bigger dude. You can see I'm sweating in here because I'm not used to this. Well, I'm from Seattle. Do you know anything about Seattle? It's always raining. It's always cold and rainy. So I'm in a.
Washington?
Yes, but not D.C. It's in the state. Washington D.C. is
I know it.
here.
Notebook in front of him.
He does. He's just doing it. So, oh, he said Washington. I'm going to win points. When I shot a film, a short film that was like a pitch piece for a bigger film. I shot it in Chicago, and we shot in July, which is summer, obviously. In Chicago, pardon?
For some.
For some, right. We shot in July, and in July it was, I didn't know this at the time, it was the hottest summer on record in Chicago for 200 years. It was like ridiculous hot. I would try to do the conversion, the Celsius, Fahrenheit, I can't. It was just like a million numbers hot. It was like ridiculous. People were dying in the street. No, I'm not kidding. People were like, a heat stroke. The ambulances were going constantly. There was water shortage. It was worse. It wasn't like, it was Chicago, so it was still a functioning city. Everything was fine. But it was bad. And the old people who were dying, probably old people who didn't turn on the air conditioning, whatever. But it was hot. It was super hot. I was running around the streets of Chicago with guys with guns and doing like blood squibs, and we were running up and down the streets, and we were doing it illegally because it was a short film. It was a long time ago. I didn't have any money, so we're running around with guns, which are this is going to come as a shock to you, completely fucking illegal in the United States. Totally way. If you just hold one, you're going to get fucking arrested. So he's like, wait, I know everything, and I don't know that.
No, I was actually curious. What was the temperature in Fahrenheit at the converter?
Like 98 degrees, man, 105 degrees. He's going to yell out the number for you guys. He'll yell out everything. 40. Oh, Christ. It was 40 Christs hot. That was a joke. I understand the difference between Celsius and Christ, I think. So I'm running around, and I've got a button-down shirt on, and I've got pants on, and I'm just sweating. I have rash. I'm getting rashes on my thighs because it's just my clothes are. No, my director of photography, he was filming. He had a exactly that. He had a what's called a fig rig. He didn't have a Steadicam. He had a fig rig, which is like a big circle, because it was supposed to look handheld, but you can't actually do handheld because that would look stupid. It wasn't electronic at all. It was just static. Just a giant circle with a camera stuck in the middle. So it looked handheld. It looked like you were going like this, but it didn't have high frequency vibration. Yeah. Well, no, we didn't use any. You can't accept this. We used nothing. It's probably magic. They did it in post. They fixed it in post. No, we literally wanted it to look shaky, but not shaky. Just shaky, because it's guys running around. It's an indie movie. So we're literally running up and down the streets of Chicago in the dead of summer. The sun does not go away. There's not a cloud to be seen. The city's never seen a cloud now, apparently. It's just gone. They're vanished. There were lakes, the Great Lakes, the world's largest freshwater ocean, dry, nothing. Just kidding, that didn't actually happen. The Earth would actually, the axis of the Earth would tilt if that happened. And that's really shitty. And you guys didn't experience that, so it didn't happen. It's super hot, and all I know is I can't see. Every 4 or 5 seconds, I have to get a towel and wipe my face because I'm sweating so profusely that I can't see. I'm drinking like a whole bottle of water, and wipe all my, another bottle of water, and just keep going. We did this for 18 hours. We did this from before the sun went up to like 4 hours after the sun went down. We did this for 5 days. We found out later it was the hottest recorded summer set of days in Chicago in like 200 years or something. And all we knew, all of us, was that we got the shot. It looked good or it didn't look good. But the music was going to work. We had to make this out because we were so in it. 18 hours a day. The only reason we stopped is because the giant ball of fire went away for a time. And then it came back again, and we were back out there running around. And it wasn't a good movie. It was a shitty movie. We made a shitty little movie, but we had committed ourselves so deeply to it. We did win a festival with it, but it was a shitty festival. So we were like the king of an anthill or whatever, right? Like we got. So anyway, the idea though is that you're going to commit yourself to something really big. My average day is an 18-hour day. Average day. Like that's not a question. And that's not a day where I take a break and I blah, blah, blah. When I'm shooting movies, it's 18 hours. It's super average. If I'm making a bigger movie with a budget, I get up at 4 a.m. The movie, let's say the call time is at 7, right? I get up at 4 a.m. I have to do all my prep work for that day because every day everything changes. Every day. We're going to get into the 4th chapter now? I'm making the chapters up. They don't exist. It's bullshit. Just like our electoral system. So I would wake up at 4 a.m. I would do my prep work. I'd go to work at 7, go to the set, wherever the set is. We would work to the very least, if we were perfect, if everything went perfectly, we'd work a standard 12-hour day till 7 p.m. But that's never happened in the history of filmmaking ever, forever. Never once has that happened. So we go to 9, 10 p.m. Then we have to watch all the dailies, which is watch all the stuff that you just shot. So if you shot three compressed hours worth of film over 13 hours, you have to watch all that. You have to log it. You have to take notes. Now the sun's gone. It's coming up again. You go to bed at 5. You get up at 6 and be there at work at 7. You do the whole thing again. This night you have to sleep a little, so you go to bed at 3, get up at 5. It just keeps going for 28 days. Then you think, oh, I'm done. No, because when you shoot the movie, you've got 10% of your movie. When you have a bunch of film in a can, that's 10%. That's the easy part. Now you gotta assemble the movie, you have to post the movie in a bunch of different ways. But what I'm trying to get at is, filmmaking is not an easy proposition. You guys, I talk about Michael Bay a lot because Michael Bay is this perfect like universal dichotomy. I like talking about Michael Bay because he's objectively, like if I'm an alien, just imagine I'm an alien guy, I'm in an alien spaceship and I'm flying by, and I go by, there's Jupiter and whatever else, and I make Neptune, like all of a sudden, get past Mars, there's a little blue planet, and there's a whole bunch of radioactivity. So I tune in to this planet. Like, what are these guys like? What's the best? I know film. I'm an alien I'm a high-minded alien, so of course I love cinema. So I'm gonna come by and see what kind of cinema this planet has. What do they like the most? Oh, it's Michael Bay. The planet Earth likes Michael Bay the most. So I leave that planet. I move on to some other planet to find a better planet. But you'll find out that Michael Bay, like, he sells more movies than like anybody ever, and like China likes Michael Bay movies and like more than like anybody else. And they outnumber all of us, like 4,000 to 1. So Doesn't really matter what our artistic opinions are. Like Earth, the planet, likes Michael Bay. And I don't know if anybody has Michael Bay opinions, but I know that in the States it's very popular to hate Michael Bay. He's just, everything he makes is crap, it's the worst, it's blah, 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 blah. Earth loves it and it makes all this kind of money. But what's interesting about Michael Bay is, as much as you like or dislike him, if you ever watch a video of Michael Bay, you can say that he doesn't know how to tell a story, or his stories are not original, or he uses nothing but like video game and toy properties to make his movies, all this other stuff. But if you ever watch a video of that guy, he never stops running. He's running all day long. He's got a microphone, a megaphone, a walkie-talkie and a megaphone. He's running. If the actors are running, he's running. If the camera's going, he's running next to the camera. If the camera's in a car, he's hanging off the car. Like, that guy is in it. And the reason I'm pointing that out is, if you're not Chinese, or if you're a high-minded cinephile, you might think Michael Bay doesn't make great movies. Cool, but even the guy who spends every second of every day on a film being 100% in it the whole time can still make movies you don't like. Right? Even that level of commitment is not enough. So you have to just assume that when you start making films, from the point which you start making films till you fucking die. Like Stanley Kubrick. You guys hear the story? Stanley Kubrick he died two hours after looking at the last edit that he could look at of Eyes Wide Shut. That's what killed him. Eyes Wide Shut. They killed him. Killed that movie. That movie killed him. Anyway, he was watching movies. He was editing a movie until he died. Like, that's ridiculous. What do you got?
Can I add a side note? Michael Bay actually wanted to bail out of these big, dumb productions and do more indie films.
Right.
But Steven Spielberg told him to try these, big, dumb movies.
Right.
And since they were profitable, he basically just stuck with it.
Right.
So,
We'll get into the business thing.
Yeah.
Chapter 7, business. It's got a title and everything. Do you not have the pamphlet? There was a pamphlet, and it had all the chapters all laid out. Business, chapter 7. What? They all disappeared. Yeah. I burned them for warmth. Actually, it's very hot. So that's the end of chapter 4, commitment. You got to commit. That's really important. That's going to be a big deal. If you don't commit, you're not going to do it. If you think for a second right now, oh, this guy, 18 hours, that's ridiculous. Nobody would do that. Then you don't know what you're getting into at all. Sam Raimi is a great filmmaker. You guys know Sam Raimi, right? He did the Evil Dead movies. He did Spider-Man movies. He did a bunch of really cool indie movies. Incredible filmmaker. If you ever look at the old videos of him making Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2, those guys don't stop. They shot inside when it was hot out and the light was out. They just put black plastic on the outside of the house all day long. And then when it was nighttime and it was cold and freezing, whatever, in Michigan, where I'm from, it was terrifyingly cold, they pulled all the black plastic off and started their shoot day and shot all the stuff they needed to shoot. And then the next day they did the same thing, shot all day, shot all night, shot all day, shot all night. For a shitty movie that not a lot of people know about. I mean, I think they're great movies, but not everybody knows about them.
Ash versus Evil. That's the continuous.
What?
Ash versus Evil.
Yep, yeah, exactly. They only have Ash vs. Evil because of viewing that when they were in college. This is not something you don't commit to. It's a ridiculous job to get into. It's silly. When people ask me, how do I get into the filmmaking business, I say, you shouldn't. You don't. Just go home. Do something fun. Do something entertaining. Do something like that won't kill you, because it might kill you. Do you guys know who Werner Herzog is? It's a German filmmaker. Werner Herzog, yeah. He talks like this. Talks about your soul. Destroying things with your soul. He recently talked about Pokemon Go. Did you see that? He says, he's in this interview, it's really great. He says, I just want to give you kind of an idea of who this guy is, because his statements are going to be important in a second. They said, Mr. Herzog, do you know what Pokemon Go is? He's like, I do not know Pokemon. I do not have a cell phone or whatever. And they said, okay, well, so people walk around with their cell phones and they catch these Pokemon or whatever on their cell phone. And he says, can they meet these people? Can they meet together? And I don't do a good Werner Herzog, by the way. The interviewer's like, yeah, well, they can meet. And he goes, is there conflict? Do they kill one another for Pokemon? It was amazing. This guy's crazy. He's really hard-boiled. He's really... So anyway, the reason I bring him up is because he said something that I thought was incredibly interesting. If you're not prepared to be arrested for your shot, you're not prepared to be a filmmaker. Right? He says he carries, in Germany, he carries bolt cutters and a gun in his car. He'd break into a place and defend himself. In the States, it's just the bolt cutters. Because of the gun thing that you guys apparently don't understand. Can't carry a gun around. Especially not a German dude. So, anyway, what I wanted to get to is to wrap that up is commitment. You're going to commit yourself to it if you want to do it forever. You seem like you're already in it. I don't know how you're even here. You're just working your ass off making photos. These guys, they don't know anything yet. I'm trying to teach these guys. I'm just kidding, you guys. It's just that kid. He doesn't even have a job. Why is he here? So prepare for commitment. Because if you think about it, it's stupid. I know it's one of the things that looks like it's available to you. You get up in the morning, you're like, what is a cool thing I can do? I can become a fireman. No, that's lame or not, but that's cool. I can become president. Probably not. I can become an astronaut. Also, probably not, especially if your country doesn't have a space program like ours doesn't. Sorry, I'm a big science kid, and I love NASA. You look at all these things. There are like 4 or 5 things that you can't actually do. Like lottery millionaire. That's not something you can pick. You don't get to pick that. That's not a thing. The world will pick for you, but probably not. Statistically, probably not. What's another? I don't know. Tom Cruise. Can't be Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, there's only one of those in the history of mankind. It's just the one guy. Fortunately. That guy works hard. We'll get into that in a second. The business thing is really important. Chapter 7. We're not there yet. One of the things also on that list of things you probably can't do is be a filmmaker. Or at least probably shouldn't do. You can be a graphic designer who does film at night that no one sees forever. That's perfectly fine as long as you put in your 8 hours of being a graphic designer. You can be a nightclub singer who's really good at it and gets like regular pay and then does film on the weekends. Because at least you have a nightclub that's supporting that venue, right? There's nobody supporting you in your filmmaking dream, especially not. Sorry to bring this up. I don't know if you know this, but you're in Romania right now. I have myself seen a grand total of 1 Romanian feature film. It was like 2 nights ago, and we had to pirate it to get in Romania. We had to pirate it. We couldn't find translations. It was a pain in the ass to watch. I fell asleep like 6 times. No, I didn't fall asleep at all. I promise. It was really good. But the odds are stacked. I'm a white guy on the west coast of the United States. I used to work at a film studio like in Los Angeles. I was doing this for still impossible. Still an impossible dream. So the only way you're going to ever make movies, because the end goal isn't to be Michael Bay. It isn't to be whoever, Steven Spielberg. The end goal is to make movies, right? Steven Spielberg didn't know that there was going to be a Steven Spielberg, right? He knew he wanted to make movies. He went to a film school to make movies. By the way, that's another thing. That's chapter 6, which we'll get to in a second. Is what you need to know to start, which is everything and nothing. You need to understand that this is not if you want to do it as a profession, it's not a wise profession. Tell your parents you're going to become a lawyer. It's just, you have to film a lot of your cases. Come up with something that's not filmmaking, because it's shitty. What's also incredible is the origin of our communicative structure as human beings, right? It's like the filmmaking. So we have a certain number of senses that we can appeal to in telling a story. You're looking at me, all of you right now. Well, some of you are looking at me more often than others, but here you go. You're looking at me. You can hear me. That's an important part of it. You can see me, and you can hear me. And, probably don't want to smell me, right? Although I smell incredible right now, I promise. You probably don't want to smell me. You probably don't want to feel me too close to you because people feel things in different my So if I get all up on you, you can feel my body heat, which there's a lot of right now, or I'm stomping around and I'm really close to you. You probably feel that. You probably don't want to feel that necessarily unless I'm doing something really big like being a starship or something. You probably don't want to feel it. And you can probably make that feeling happen with sound if you work it out, right? Like if I yelled right now, you probably feel a little bit of it, just a little. Break 2 or 3 of these windows. So your primary method of input from us as people is the eyes and the ears, right? A filmmaker appeals to those things. It's the most direct input we've got. Now, granted, there's like spatial sense and all this other stuff that we don't need to deal with unless you use shitty 3D glasses at movies. I don't know if you guys like the 3D thing. I think it's kind of a lost cause right now, but it's my own personal opinion. Again, you're just listening to some random guy. So these are the things you can appeal to. So you have like all the like inbuilt human methodologies kind of available to you. You have everything that a human being needs to learn or hear or grow from something available to you. It's just nobody gives a shit. I'm lucky that they put out a thing and said you should listen to this guy talk, because I would talk like this whether or not you guys were here. Luckily for me, you're here and some of you are listening. It's great. So the reason I'm saying that is to get to this communication thing. This is chapter 6 now? 6. Doesn't matter. I made up the numbers. Chapter N. What film? So I just told you why you shouldn't be or shouldn't try or whatever. It's probably futile. It's going to take too long. You need to know way too much stuff. It's really hard. You have to work more than you'd expected, and the world doesn't give a shit. That's what I just told you. I'm going to teach you something else now. Complete dichotomy, but they're both exactly true. It's a personal story. I used to do software for a living. I did physics, then I did software, then I did physics again, and then I did filmmaking. the software thing, it afforded me some good stuff. In the States at the time when I was doing it, it was very lucrative. I could make lots of money. It was very cool. And I got to travel a lot. And one of the places I traveled was Pune, India. Pune. Do you guys know about Pune? You should. It was like for 6 years, it was the fastest growing city on the planet Earth because it was an outsourcing capital of the world. They would send everything to Pune, India. IT center, exactly. Outsource everything. I had built a call center software, so people would pick up phones and it would like set up all the queuing for the phones and route the calls and all this other stuff. And I had to teach these guys how to implement this, like building. Like you could build little like substructures with it, and I had to teach them how to do it. So I and a number of my buddies went to Pune, India, to teach our offshore team how to use this software. It's gonna be very neat. I thought it'd be a breeze, a bunch of programmers or whatever, but what I found was in Pune, India, at the time, they kind of slapped together the office. And they had a bunch of really, really talented people, none of which really communicated that well together. Some of them had little groups of friends or whatever. Mostly, they stayed away from each other, didn't communicate much. And they were really nice to me individually, but when I stood up in front of them, it wasn't really that easy to have this conversation. Like there was a language barrier, language divide with a lot of us. I don't know if you know this, but there's like a ton of languages in India, like a bunch of them. And even like Hindi has a bunch of variants, and it's crazy. And then there's a bunch of, like, if I'm trying to appeal to some sort of cultural thing, I couldn't, because I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm not from Pune, India. And you guys don't even know what Detroit, Michigan means. But it's a tiny little nothing. It's actually a giant city that became a tiny little city in a little state nobody cares about, but then everybody cares about. Who cares? What? ICP. You know it. ICP. What else do we have? Eminem. Oh, he's from Troy, not from Detroit. Yeah. RoboCop. Yes. RoboCop is my digital father. Anyway, so I went there and I didn't know how to deal with this. And at one point I was talking to the team, we were having this big conversation, and I said something about, I made a quote. I said, "Stay on target," or something. And then one of them goes, "Stay on target." And I was like, did that Indian guy just make a Star Wars A New Hope reference right now? Did he just say "stay on target" like in the trench run? That cannot possibly be. Because I'm talking about computer programming to a bunch of computer programmers and they don't care what I'm saying. But I said "stay on target" and this guy goes "stay on target." I'm like, wait a minute, does he just talk like that normally? That's really weird. So then I started making jokes about Star Wars and everybody like started listening. The whole fucking room started turning toward me. Now we're talking about something important. Not their jobs, not the thing I traveled like 3,000 miles or whatever, 13, I don't know how far away it was. We had to bounce all over because we bought the cheap tickets, so it moved all over. 21 hours of flying to get to India. They didn't care about that. They cared about talking about Star Wars. So then I made the Darth Vader reference, and they were all in, they were sold. And at that moment, I didn't think to myself, man, I've got it. I'll talk to these guys with movie references. I instead thought, I was gonna make movies, and then I stopped to make software because I thought it'd make me some money. And that was a dumb idea because I just spent 3 days talking to these guys about software and they didn't give a shit and that's their jobs. But I made one movie reference and they all knew what I was talking about. That's who has that power? Do you think somebody in Pune, India knows who Vladimir Putin is? There's 1.2 billion people in there. They probably have no fucking clue. I'm sure businessmen or people who travel a lot, but do you think some average person in Mumbai gives a shit about Vladimir Putin, who we all know Vladimir Putin? Michael Jordan? Maybe. I mean, he's old. It's old news. What's something that's very important? General Motors closed. They went bankrupt. Do you guys even know? They probably know that. I'm sure Pune doesn't give a shit. That like the backbone of American like automotive industry, which was like the backbone industry, like as GM goes, so does the country, was a quote that they used to say, right, about the entire United States. Somebody in Pune, India doesn't care about GM. They all know about one character from one movie a 27-year-old guy in California made in the 70s. Who has power, GM or George Lucas? Not now George Lucas with $1 billion, but 27-year-old George Lucas. Who has the power? Who is the president of General Motors, which is headquartered in Detroit, Michigan? Who is the president of that company for the last 10 years?
Was it a woman?
No, it's not a trick question. I'm actually asking because I don't fucking know.
Correct answer is who gives a shit.
Yeah, who gives a shit? I don't know. I live in Detroit. I don't know. I have no idea. Who is the head of, outside of Jeff Bezos, I think, who is the guy who's the current president of Amazon, the largest company? Nobody gives a shit. Who's George Lucas? Every one of you can tell me who George Lucas is.
Director.
Film director. What do you make?
Star Wars.
There you go. Who's more powerful? The guy that had the greatest business of all time on Earth, or the guy who made that one movie in the 70s at one time? The 70s movie guy. That's an incredibly important role. You look at that, you cannot excuse it. How many US presidents have there been? I'm again asking you because I don't know. I mean, it's like something 40 something or something. I don't know.
A couple dozen.
Yeah. Whatever. Sure. I'm almost right. I know about movies though, and you guys know about movies. This is just an important thing to note in history. When we're dead, somebody will be making a Star Wars reference. Right? Nobody's going to make a fucking GM reference unless they are associated with GM, which, by the way, might not mean anything to you, but it was literally the company that ran our country for the longest time. The largest. I'm supposed to say this because I mean they tell you when you leave the country, like make sure you say the thing about the largest economic superpower thing. So the largest economic superpower, whatever, run by. They'll shoot you with the guns if you don't say that. You guys don't know that. It's the truth. They come back in and they have videotape because there are drones everywhere, and they make sure that I say at least once that we're the world's largest economic superpower. That's not a thing. It doesn't happen. That's a joke. I'm being sorry. I've learned a lot about what Romanians think of the States recently, and it's shocking. But you do know about George Lucas, and that's pretty great. So the idea is to be what George Lucas was, not to be a guy with a walkie-talkie and a megaphone or whatever. I mean, it's to have that kind of cultural impact, right? Like that's why you would tell a story. Not make movies. Not I love the art of movies. I love cameras and cinema and explosions and aliens and all that. That's something somebody who likes movies thinks. I, as a storyteller, I want to change the planet. And if everything you do doesn't change the planet in some way, I think you're wasting your time. I think you should go do something else that changes the planet. Go work in a mine or something. Or if you want, you can go work in Salina Turda. You can work in a mine, but you don't have to do any mining. You can just like sell food or drinks or something. You still work in a mine though. Where do you work? I work in a mine. What do you do? Oh, I operate the Ferris wheel. But anyway, that's my chapter 6. It is, in my opinion, and if you look back to the cave paintings again, and yes, I've honed my argument to be like the 3 things that support my argument, but that's what human beings do. And also, I'm right. Right? The human beings have been communicating this way forever, and it is the most impactful way that we do it. And films are the fastest and most energetic way to do it. You might say video games, but you'd be wrong because video games are not a form of communication, they're a form of agency. I'm not communicating to somebody, I'm letting somebody communicate with my environment, right? So I can create a world that the person can experience, but that person will always experience it in the way he or she experiences it. If I'm telling you a movie, I tell you exactly what your eyes see. If you don't sit too far away from the screen, I can technically get close enough that what you see fills your periphery and your brain doesn't know the difference between what you're seeing on the film and what's going on outside of the film. I can literally hijack your nervous system. That's incredible. There's no other art form that allows you to do that because it's just the right amount of audio visual and not too much to make you go, wait, what? That's really fucked up, right? It's VR. Have you guys played in VR at all? VR is pretty neat. I wonder about how you're gonna make a movie in it because the minute like you're doing something very important, but I look over here, I'm screwed. So I have total control of your agency in a movie. So I can give you an idea. I can communicate my idea to you really fast, really hard. You ever watch a movie that scared you or that made you disgusted or that made you cry or that made you hurt or whatever? Just light. It's photons. Who gives a shit? How is a photon making you cry? Well, it's because it's the idea that's being conveyed by that photon in just the right rectangle to take your sensor, to trick your brain into believing. You ever get lost in a movie, you forget how long it's been? It hijacks your brain's ability to like recognize time.
Games do that.
Games totally do that. I'm not saying that films are the only things that do that. Some movies, not all of them. No, of course not. Like Jackass didn't do that to me. I was fine. I didn't have any Jackass. Jackass was fine or whatever, but I didn't get lost in Jackass. Okay, I'm lying. I totally got. No, I didn't. So that's. Let's move on to the seventh chapter. Business. You get to shut up because you already talked all about business. So we're gonna talk about it now. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna do the talking though for a second. It's pretty cool. So that sounds great. Okay, so you've decided you're willing to do it. You're willing to put in all the time and effort. You understand the potential cultural impact. You also understand that for every George Lucas, there are 100 million people who never fucking make it ever, even though they work really hard and they really mean it and they're really important. Just recognize that I don't think there are enough of us in the room right now to statistically allow one of us to make it. That's how shitty that is, right? But you're still going to do it, and that's good because each and every one of you is important for doing that. Well thought out. Good job. So now you've got it. You've got it all worked out. You need to tell a story. You need to know tradecraft, monocraft. You need to know how all the departments work, which we'll get to in chapter 8, the departments thing. But chapter 7 is about business. You have everything you need to make your movie except for money. So you can't make a movie at all. It's impossible. It's impossible. make a movie without money. You can make a movie, you can say you make a movie without money. You can make a movie with your friends, but those friends have to eat something at some point, ever, or they'll die. I know, I lost 17 friends this way. So you need to work out how you're gonna get money. Well, unfortunately, all those cool guys who have all the money, they have all the money because they're commodities brokers, right? All of them. You can't actually do any business without brokering commodities, right? I'm selling futures, I'm selling pants, I'm selling, in some cases, people. That's really bad, I'm sorry, but it's like a business model. I'm not saying tap into that for film funds. Probably the worst. Although free labor. No, that's bad. Don't consider that. There's a problem. Art, and this is not a film problem. This is not unique. This is an art problem. Art versus money, right? Now, films do make money. They don't make as much money as video games. Fingers crossed. But they make a lot of money. And the people who make money on films want to keep making that money. People who don't make money on films and they want to make money on films don't care about art. I'm sorry. Yes, there's some guy who's not watching Twitch because he's busy doing rich people things. But there's some guy out there who, if he heard that, he'd be like, no, actually I care very much about the art of it. But he inherited that money, and we don't really care about that guy. Most business dudes are worried about making their money double or triple or quadruple or whatever it ends up being. And that's good. That's because they're business guys. They have all the money. I don't have any money because I'm not a business guy. I mean, technically, I'm kind of a business guy just because I happen to own 2 businesses, and they happen to make just enough money to like survive. But I'm not doing it for the business. I'm doing it because those 2 businesses were literally the only way I could make art. I had to become the business guy to make art because no business guy would give me the money to make my crazy movies. So you're going to constantly be butt up against this problem. Michael Bay said to Steven Spielberg, I'll give a better example. You know, what's a movie Steven Spielberg made? Anybody just tell me?
Saving Private Ryan.
Good movie. What else? What's one that he's like super famous for? E.T. E.T.'s a good movie. Jaws, yeah. Who said Jaws? Jaws, good movie. Such a good movie. It's a good movie to take a date to. Because they get all scared and stuff. And you're like, yeah, awesome. Punch that shark. So do you guys hear this? I don't know if you heard this weird movie, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. So it's an old, shitty movie. Nobody's ever heard of it. Do you know that Steven Spielberg, I mean, there's video. This is just video I saw on the internet this one time, so it's probably fake. It's probably falsified. No, it's real. He took that because he signed a business deal with George Lucas. And it was one of these ideas that George Lucas had. He wanted to do this serial sort of, do you guys know what serial movies are? I don't know if that's a thing here or not. Probably. I don't know. Serial movies are movies that they show, like they shoot them really cheaply. They make like 15 of them, and they show them once a week.
Straight to DVD.
No, this is like way back in the past. This is like your parents' kind of time. They'd show these movies, in the States at least, they'd show these movies like, you'd watch 3 of them at a time, like 45 minutes to 2 hours, and you just bang them out. Just like The Detective, and in this case, it's basically like TV is now. It's like Game of Thrones, right? You watch an hour of this thing, and then you see next week how it continues and whatever. So Indiana Jones is supposed to be a serial thing. So is Star Wars. That's why it's episode 4 when it starts. It's supposed to pretend like there were 3 other episodes. There'll be episodes until you die. Little did we know there are going to be episodes until we die. But Indiana Jones is supposed to be a series. Indiana Jones. It's like Atomic Bob and the fight for the future or whatever. Just made up bullshit. Indiana Jones. What a dumb name. Indiana's the name of a state. It's not senseless. It's like saying Chairface Mickey. Like it doesn't make any sense. But they made a serial movie, and Steven Spielberg wanted to do some. He just made a movie called The Duel, and he was working in TV, and it was really good stuff. He wanted to do kind of arty things, and George Lucas was like, yeah, but we signed this thing when we became friends, that if I had a movie before you had a movie, you'd have to make my movie. And there's this really cool piece of film that somebody caught. He's walking down a lot, and they're like talking to each other. And he's like, I need to make this movie as fast as possible, for cheaply as possible, and I want to get out of it as quickly as I can. He didn't want to make that movie. Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark, one of the best movies of all time. He didn't want to fucking make that movie. He didn't want to make the movie. It was now, granted, he's Steven Spielberg, so when it became time to make the movie, he made the best goddamn movie. But he did it for business reasons. And out of that came, in my idea, what we all know Steven Spielberg's career to be. It came out of that business decision, making those things. He made it because George Lucas made, I don't know, Star Wars or some shit, some big movie. And it made a bunch of money, and the guy with the more money told the guy with the less money what to do. So that's evidence of how your art can be propped up by business, right? Because you need that money. but also how your art can become better art. One of the things Steven Spielberg did when shooting that movie, if you watch any of the documentaries, is he went fast. He went really fast. And when they made that film, they didn't cut corners in any way, but they didn't overthink everything. They didn't over-art everything. And everybody had to stand on his own leg to make the movie the best movie possible. And it shows. It shows that everybody is in that. Everybody's bleeding for that movie to make it happen. It's really beautifully well put together. If you compare it to Indiana Jones 4 and the Crystal Skull or whatever, we're all making the face, but why? It's the same guy, it's the same cast, same actors, same everything. Why is it terrible? Well, because they're old guys with all the money. They have no behind them. They don't have to get out of it. They don't have to. They're not stuck in a country that if they don't shoot their movie in X number of days, they will literally be put in like a prison with like punji sticks and stuff. Like they don't have the fire, that go behind them. The passion. And in some cases, it's the passion to get the hell out of that movie as fast as possible. In some cases, it's the passion to be your first starring role in a movie. Like that passion has to be there. That passion was there because of business pressure, right? If you don't have business pressure, you're not going to make a good movie. Was The Phantom Menace a good movie? Vlad doesn't think it was a good movie. Attack of the Clones, was that a good movie? Of course it was. It's because there was no business pressure. It was a billionaire who decided that he was going to make this movie this one time because a bunch of people wanted it, but he was making money off of toys. He didn't have to, there's no fucking push for it. J.J. Abrams made Star Wars Episode 7. I thought it was a good movie. Wasn't the world's greatest movie. You could see that the guys who made it cared, though. It's because they had business pressure. If they fucked that up, J.J. Abrams, who spent 10 years making like the best career ever, he'd be buried forever. He fucked up Star Wars. Now he's never going to work again. So he had all that fucking pressure. That's why Steven Spielberg didn't make Star Wars. He was asked, do you want to make Star Wars? Nah, it's all that work. You get up early and every day. Like, I got $1 million. Who gives a shit? I don't need to do that. Who's hungry? Who's thirsty for this movie? That business pressure is important. So now, as young filmmakers, as Romanians, or in my case, as a guy from Detroit, it's functionally equivalent, by the way. How do we make, just a guy from Detroit, how do we make movies? How do we get money? Well, that's a big question, and I believe that the best answer for it is on an individual basis, right? My first movie I lied about. I'm streaming this now. We came up with this pitch. Yeah, just start speaking Romanian really loudly, and I'll just we'll record something different. No, all of a sudden everything goes black. It was a blackout in Romania. Nobody knew. This is actually a known story. We put together a pitch for a T-shirt company, like an internet T-shirt company that would sell T-shirts. Orange Dynamite was the name of the company, and we would sell T-shirts. And we had all these cool designs. We hired a designer. We built a website, the whole thing. And I would sit with these guys, and I would be like, "Hey, listen, I want to sell a T-shirt company to you. I need $250,000 US. You buy this T-shirt company. Well, what is it? I don't care. It seems like a good commodity. T-shirt companies are doing well right now. I don't really care what the details are. Just tell me, where's the money going? Well, how fast can I get my money back? What do you need to do? Blah, blah, blah." So I tell them, well, we need to buy stock. We need to buy $200,000 worth of stock. We've already invested N amount of money for a website and for blah, 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 blah. But we need product. The most important thing we need right now is product for the shelves. If I can, the major point of this investment is going to go into product on the shelves. Then we'll market it. We have X number of dollars for marketing, blah, 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 blah. And I just sold the whole thing. Stood up and got a suit on and pointed with a little pointer. And then they're like, well, it seems interesting. You seem energetic, and you seem like you're going to be part of blah, blah, and it's very creative, and that's what's important. All the shit were very creative. It was very important, to make it, because I wanted to sell something. Finally, I was like, cool, so check it out. Next slide. Boop, boop. I don't have a T-shirt company at all, actually. It's been an hour of conversation about this T-shirt company. I was like, I need the same amount of money. I'm gonna make a movie. It's gonna be the product. We're gonna sell the product. Same methodology we're using. You were totally in on it. You think I'm energetic. You think I can do it. You think it's wonderful. But we're gonna make movies instead. And it's hard. It's not a saleable commodity. But I can sell each one of them for $3 more than I would sell the T-shirt for. Right? I still need that investment. You believe that it was a sound plan for a T-shirt, and T-shirts are bullshit. Don't you want a movie? Don't you want something incredible? Blah 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 blah. So that's how I sold that movie. Never got any money that way. I did get a lot of promises and a lot of people talking to a lot of other people, and I got all these contacts and all these meetings, that's all that happened. And eventually we found this weird moment where these guys would be super into it, but they wouldn't want to go in alone. They're scared now, right? T-shirt business, probably easy to go in alone. movie business, not easy to go in alone. So they wanted to see more money. They wanted to see money in it already. So at first I lied. Like, well, I have $11,000 that was just invested by Imagos Films. The film company was actually called Alicorn Heavy Media at the time. So I was like, Imagos Films, this other film company, it's my film company, invested a bunch of money. We didn't invest any money. Big deal, it's gonna be awesome. Then we lucked out. My producer, her grandmother said, you guys have been selling this film very much. Here's another small chunk of money. So we take that money. Now we have $60,000, whatever the $60,000, I'm not gonna tell you. Whatever that amount of money is. Look at how much we've raised so far. Oh, well, I'm willing to pitch in 15,000 here, and then it just starts going. And none of it, we didn't know what we were doing. We're talking to lawyers. We're talking to shops down the street. Like, can I put the name of your shop in my movie and you give me $1,000? So like, whatever, $1,000, but the shop's outside. You can just see it. I'm like, yeah, it's a movie. We'll show it in California. We're not in California. Oh, fuck, it's not gonna work. We just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. There's this we spent more time making the business model and making the money for the film than we spent making the entire movie, right? And that's hard. And that was for like one tiny little nothing movie that only cost less than $250,000. So most like blockbuster movies are between $60 and $100 million right now. $40 million movies are considered like, if you see one, you'll know. Oh, that's not the most expensive movie. $40 million. Doesn't matter where you're from, $40 million is a lot of fucking money. It's a lot of money. So it's important to note that like the business is brutal, but it's deadly important. It's super important because Michael Bay makes $120 million movies. Why? Well, because his movies make $3 billion. Right, so the Steven Spielberg's idea was right. Michael Bay has made, in the time since you probably heard that interview or whatever, he's made a number of small movies, independent movies. You ever hear of the movie Pain and Gain by Michael Bay? It's a fair movie. I mean, it's not the best movie ever or whatever, but you can tell it's not robots and cars exploding and racist. Oh, there's some reason. What? Mark Wahlberg, The Rock, some other people. And there was like dildo jokes or whatever in it. It's not like it's not high cinema, but it's definitely not the shittiest movie ever made. I actually went in kind of like, this is gonna be the worst movie, and I was like, oh, that's not actually that bad. It's pretty okay. Pardon? It was a comedy, and it was a good comedy, and it didn't. They were okay. The camera spun around a guy a couple times, but other than that, there weren't that many Michael Bayisms in it. It was like, holy shit, this guy's making movies. This guy's making cinema, not like French cinema, like cinema. It was impressive, and he did that because he could, because he took some of his own personal money, and he took relationships that he made with The Rock and with Mark Wahlberg and everyone, the cinematographer and all. He took all that business knowledge, all that business acumen, threw it together, and made his own movie, the movie he'd wanted to make for a number of years. Ridley Scott, who made Alien, who made Gladiator, right? Big deal movies. I don't know if you've ever heard of the movie Tristan and Isolde? Of course not. I mean, you've heard the story. Everybody knows this. Maybe you don't, but that's an ancient from the English story, Tristan and Isolde. It was translated into English. I think it's a Spanish story, whatever. You probably know better than I do. But I don't know. Whatever. It's a cool story. It's a love story. It's romantic, so probably Spanish. But that was a Spanish joke, guys. This movie was a movie he wanted to make before he made Alien in the 70s. He wanted to make this movie. He didn't make it till like 2000 or something, 2002 or something. He made it because he made Gladiator, because he made a bunch of movies that made everybody a bunch of money. He could finally make Tristan and Isolde. A great example of this is, remember that guy who made The Terminator and like Aliens, like all the Abyss and all that cool movies? Jim Cameron, yeah. One of the most expensive filmmakers of all time and an incredible filmmaker, one of my favorite filmmakers from a technical perspective. Technical only. Great guy. He was able to make his passion project, the $130 million Titanic. That was a movie he wanted to make before he made Aliens. Like, that was a movie he thought, he wanted to make a love story between two immigrants, or the boat that tips over, before he made fucking Aliens. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, we as film people who like films are like, but Aliens is a much better, like, adventure. But he, unlike Michael Bay and Ridley Scott, who used the massive business to make their little movies, he used the massive business to make like a bigger movie that made more business, that made bigger movies, and then Avatar came out. Oh man, okay. But the point of all this is that the business is intrinsic. You need the business, and there is no way in. There's no answer. For our business, the business that I do to make movies, and only literally like a week before we came, how many weeks? 2 weeks before we came here? Went to LA,
Yeah, that was like 3 weeks.
3 weeks before I came here. 8 years. That's this many plus an additional this many, guys. Years into making movies, 8 years. was I asked to go to Los Angeles and have a conversation about a big movie. It took 8 years. And every one of those 8 years, I was like, I can't, this is never gonna happen. This is the worst, I can't do this. Every one of those 8 years, I pumped out project after project after project after project. I did 18-hour day after 18-hour day after 18-hour day after 24-hour day after 20-hour day or whatever, of just bleeding. And I went there to LA and talked to a bunch of people, and they're like, yeah, we'll talk. I'm happy I even got out there to talk and then be told we'll talk again. I mean, I secured all the stuff you're supposed to have, the lawyer, the manager, and the agent, all that. I got all that stuff. But I'm here in Romania working on some little game thing right now. I'm kidding. It took 8 years to get there, and I'm not fucking around, guys. I'm working constantly. Between March of 2014 and December of 2015, I did 28 projects. That's more projects than there are months in that amount of time. Those are big projects. They range everywhere from $30,000 to $300,000 projects. That's more than one a month I did. And I'm still not making a giant movie. If you think, well, I'll make one little movie and it will go. I mean, you guys are lucky. You're in a post-communist, this is already, right? Post-communist Romania. One of you has the opportunity to strike out with a name from the guy from post-com. But I think that already happened in like 2003 or something. So maybe you don't get that now. Maybe that's burned up. That opportunity's gone. Unless you are just the lightning strike, the one time on the planet Earth a thing happened, you're not going to just make one movie or one little project and be like, look, I did a short film about ants. I did a short film about post-communist Romania. Like, that's not going to work. You have to have something that's going to change minds, and then you have to have that 35 times. You have to have that 1,000,000 times. You have to just be a working director. My biggest problem with Los Angeles is an interesting argument I got into with I had a potential manager who didn't pick me up. A manager is a guy who does your business for you. He gets you, so you have an agent. This is so convoluted and weird. You have an agent, if you're a director, I don't know about actors. I mean, I know about actors, but I don't want to talk about it. It's complicated and I hate it. If you're a director, you have an agent who will make connections with other. Normally, like a producer goes to an agency. This agency, do you have anybody on your list that you think is a good director for this movie? The agent will go, I have done Thacker. He's loud. And then they'll take that and they'll go to the producer. The producer's like, Don Thacker looks great. He has a cool hair. And then they'll like want to hire me. Then they contact my manager, or my manager finds out the agent made the call, and he calls the producer and says, don't forget about the guy with the hair in the mouth. It's gonna be awesome. They work together to do like the business, and they come to me, do you want to do this movie? And I say, let me think about it. I hang up the phone and I'm like, well, I have to do it. I don't have any other jobs. Of course I'm gonna do the movie, but I have to pretend like I have to think about it. And then I pick up the phone. Nope, I'm gonna just wait. Yeah, I'll take it. It took a long time. I had to work it out, but I'll take the job. That's how that whole system works. And I was looking for a manager, and it was one manager who said, well, I need you to be in Los Angeles, and I need you to be ready to go to interviews right this second. And I said, I can't. He's like, why couldn't you? Don't you want to do this? And I said, well, technically, I super do. I have a film company that has 4 projects lined up for the next 3 months. 4 projects. So I will be busy directing films. So could you maybe tell them that I'm busy directing films? And maybe I can have a meeting at some time that's not at any random moment in the next 4 months, or 3 months, because I'm directing films this whole time. And the direct answer was, well, you have to stop that so we can get you to direct films. Wait, what? I'm a working director, so I can't be a working director, because unfortunately, in that case, the manager had his version of what it meant. He had to have me meet the right people at the right time, because it's all this crazy business thing. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is there isn't an answer. Yay, thanks for coming to the symposium. There's no answer. But the answer is what you do. Make it up yourself. I am a successful filmmaker because I have a bunch of awards, and I have a bunch of, I'm not successful. I'm successful as a business person who makes movies, because my business stays open. And it stays open because every month, or in some cases a couple of months, we produce film stuff. And it's not all like Jaws. Some of it is commercials. A lot of it is commercials. And they're not like normal commercials that you see, like, some guy buying a fruit and like, look, I buy the best fruit. They're actually, I cheated. I don't sell commercials. I sell short films in the world of the product, right? You saw the Jazz Pump commercial, right? Did that look like a commercial to you, or did that look like a little mini movie, right?
Honestly, I'm not sure if I saw it after I played the game or
Right.
before.
Sure.
What I know is that it looked fucking
Looks fucking awesome. That's what we do. I cheat. I take money from people. They want a commercial, but I make a short film instead. Like with their money, and then I give it to them, and they go, "Oh my God, this is totally not what we expected. This is a million times better than we ever expected." Like, yeah, I use that, and they use that. So they're not like 30-second commercials. They're like sometimes 5 minutes, sometimes 19 minutes long. They're little movies that I took their money and I got to make a short film for, because has given me the money yet. Well, 2 people, but I made 2 feature films, and so yes, technically people gave me money to make those. But the majority of the time, I'm not going and getting $1 million. I'm going and getting $30,000 or $200,000 or something, which is a lot of fucking money, but not a lot of money for movies. That's hard for movies. You know all that money I was making when I was a programmer I was telling you about? The first thing I did was make a film company, and then I was broke. Like that, all that money went away, like in no seconds. It took just long enough to buy enough equipment to just make a thing. Gone, all gone. You guys, you know, equipment's expensive. I see you have just piles of it. You guys ever need somebody to steal? Just kidding. Don't steal anything. There's guard dogs and a guy in a tower with a sniper rifle. So yeah, business is important, but there is no like clear answer. And this is the hard thing to understand, is that I can't tell you, make these phone calls. I can tell you some core tenets. Example, knowing people is important. Super fucking important. Probably if I had to pick one thing that was like the way to do it, is to know people a lot. And the only way to get to know people is to like talk to people, go travel with people, go communicate with people, send people stuff constantly. But remember, these people are commodity people. They're not people who are going to, sometimes if you're lucky, they're your friends. If you're Max Landis's best friend, you get to make Cloverfield, and you get to get fired from Fantastic Four. Right? Sometimes it happens. But if you're not these people's immediate friends, you have to become a commodity. You have to commoditize what you're doing. And the only way to do that is to do it right? Not to lie about it, not to say you're a filmmaker, but to make movies. So back to the Robert Rodriguez problem. He said the best way to become a filmmaker is to say you're a filmmaker. He said that like after he'd made a number of successful films. Right? He had a movie that was distributed, the largest distribution of video VHS tapes, not commercially, in like the history of man.
It makes sense, but in his scenario.
It makes sense in his scenario. Exactly, and it's easy to say after the fact. My favorite, I have a favorite interview with Quentin Tarantino, who we all know is a cool filmmaker. They said, "How do you get to be like you, Quentin Tarantino?" He said, "Oh, it's easy. Make Reservoir Dogs." Yeah, that's survivorship bias. Like, that's literally like if you open up the Oxford English Dictionary, you look, it has a URL, a YouTube link, and you go to that, and it's the Quentin Tarantino interview where he's like, "Just make Reservoir Dogs." Like, come on, man. He made a bunch of stuff before that you don't know about. He used to work at a video store. He didn't say work at a video store. Like, no, he said do the thing that was obviously successful, right? Make Amazon. How do you become a big businessman? Make Amazon.com. Come on, man. That's not the answer. Nobody has the answer is the problem. The reason Quentin Tarantino can't answer that question is because A, he's inherently talented. He's incredible, right? So when he does a thing, it's awesome. He did it. So of course, why can't you just be awesome? It's easy, right? So for him, it comes more easily. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard. He works very hard, but I'm just pointing out that if you take 2 people, you take a guy who does the Ferris wheel and Selena Turda, and you take fucking Quentin Tarantino and you give them both a script. One of them is going to be a good movie. The other one's probably not going to be as good a movie, right? Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that guy knows. Like, he's seen a lot of shit down there. But what I'm saying is, he's got an inherent talent, so that's good. You need that. Everybody needs that to do any job, right? Like these guys, they paint stuff really well, and I work very hard. I work very hard. I could never do what they do. I couldn't. Even I took all the classes that you're supposed to take, where you figure out like figure and all that. I don't know. Just watching them work at all is just watch the stream on this channel right now, Twitch. Watch them work. You see that like they'll talk while painting. It's just built in. They have it already. They have an advantage over me. I will never be able to do that. And I think Quentin Tarantino has a little bit of that, right? I can do this better than a bunch of other people. So he business-wise, show somebody how you got magically hit with a stick that tells everybody you're talented. That's his business. Do the best thing. That's hard. You can't, if we made Reservoir Dogs today, would it sell as much? If we made it in 1966, would it sell as much? We don't know. It's just like, it's like saying, how do you become a multi-billionaire? Well, you have to get struck by lightning twice. You can't say that. It doesn't work. It's not a business model. You can't say, oh yes, be Quentin Tarantino, step 1 of business model, step 2, profit. That doesn't make sense. So what are the things you can do? Well, knowing people, like I said, is very important. If you know a lot of people, then somebody will see the talent you have inherent to yourself. If you're here to do this, you probably have seen or tried doing it at some point, right? You probably see that you have something. Maybe you're not Quentin Tarantino. Maybe you're not Akira Kurosawa. Maybe you're not Werner Herzog. Maybe you're not whoever. Maybe you're not Don Thacker. None of you are Don. That's me. I'm talking about me. That's my name. Did you know? Because you had a question mark face. I'm Don Thacker. I'm nobody. That's the joke. It was a joke. It was ironic humor. So maybe you're none of those people. Maybe you're you. Maybe you're Lucian. Whatever your last name is, if you have a last name. You don't know, and somebody else can tell you, right? I don't think when Steven Spielberg started out, when he made The Duel and he worked on Jaws, he thought, I'm going to make this serial movie that my friend made, and everybody will know me from that one. Like, probably not, right? A business guy helped him make that decision, not on purpose. So somebody saw his talent and said, you could probably bang through this real fast and make something arty out of it, which George Lucas literally said, if I made this right now, it wouldn't look like that. It wouldn't feel like that. It wouldn't have that thing. It would be something else. He wanted his friend who he saw George Lucas and Steven Spielberg knew one another. That knowledge helped. Francis Ford Coppola knew a bunch of people. You know, you guys know who Nicolas Cage is, right? Did you know that Nicolas Cage's actual last name is Coppola? So he knew some people because they were his family. This is really good. But if you don't inherently know people, go know people. Do it. Like, it's literally the most important thing. Like I said, if I had to pick one thing, it's know people. And the best way to know people is to do work for people. Go. Every one of you inside has this mechanism. Everybody on the planet Earth has this, except for maybe, no, I'm not going to say that. It's kind of culturalist. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's going to be a funny joke, but don't make those jokes. What's funny is I didn't actually think of a specific group of people. I said that whole thing as a joke. It was a meta joke. Almost everybody on Earth, there are psychopaths, I'm sure, has this thing in your brain. Each one of you individually have this thing. It's a grace mechanism. It's your id, right? It's the thing that says, oh yeah, no, Don is saying some stuff at me, but I only need to listen to these three things because secretly I know better than him because I'm me and I see the world and it's my universe that takes place 3 feet around me. Everyone has this, right? Everyone has this sort of grace mechanism. It's biological. It's from let's say we're all running from lions and I look over and Levu gets eaten by the lion. I think to myself, at least it wasn't me. Because I'm the important one, and you need that. It's a biological imperative to be the most important person. But the problem with that is you don't have a good view of the outside world. You're secretly the one who knows.
Being an egomaniac doesn't count.
No, it doesn't. But true. I'm talking about the id, though. We'll get to the ego in a second. We'll sew ego in there in just a second. But having that sort of that grace mechanism, the inherent thing, that is important. To do your art. You won't be able to, Quentin Tarantino couldn't make Quentin Tarantino movies if he wasn't always right about Quentin Tarantino movies, right? Like whatever painter or whatever, they couldn't do their art if they weren't always right about their art, that one thing that they're doing, they're really good at. But they need someone else on the outside to say, maybe if I took that thing you're really good at and just move it over here, I can make money off of that, right? And that's like a trick. And you need to know those people. You need to combine you need to take your closed system and go spread it to everyone else to see what their systems are. And that's where the ego question comes in. But I'm actually, so that's your subconscious. That's the thing that kicks in when you're running away. But then it transfers to your consciousness and you have your ego. The thing that's like, you know how you think deep down inside you're secretly the real one? You actually are. And what you think and say is actually better deep down. And when the guy doesn't agree with you, it's because he's fucking wrong. And it's the only answer. That's your ego. You need that as well because that's how we communicate with people. I couldn't speak to you with confidence if I didn't have something inside of me that says, well, I have a bunch of information. Even if I'm using confirmation bias, I have a bunch of information that says I'm good at this thing. So I can tell these people about this thing. And technically, objectively, I don't have an ego at all. Objectively, you can see that I'm really good at, no, I'm just kidding. So that ego thing is really important. And the ego thing is the thing that it says, I am better than working at McDonald's. I'm better than, I'm not shitting on working at McDonald's, by the way. In fact, I'm actually saying that if you thought that ever, you're probably really wrong. I am better than serving tables or waiting tables at a restaurant. I am better than being an accountant. I am better. I don't know what it's like around here, but in the States, that's pretty much a thing you all have. I would never work in a restaurant, except for like 1 million people do, 1 trillion people, whoever, 20 million people do. But I would never, that's a lower thing. Every culture has that level of, there's something that you would never do, right? I would never clean the toilets. I would never blah, 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 blah. But to get to know people and to show somebody You start out with a negative balance, okay? You say, hey, I've got talent. It's awesome. Don't have any money, so I've never done anything with the talent, and I believe it to be so. But there's a guy next to you who has some money and did something. He's better. By default, I know you're actually technically better in your brain. That guy's better because he did a thing. The guy who did 2 things is better than that guy. The guy who did 3 things and won 4 awards is better than all 3 of those guys combined into one, like superhuman. So it's really important to recognize that ego thing will stop you immediately. The first thing I did when I moved to Los Angeles was go work on film sets, and I couldn't get a job on a film set. I couldn't say, can I come work for you for free? No, it's illegal. We would never do that. We can't take you for free. There's no such thing as a PA internship, and the only way to work on a film set for free in Los Angeles is to know somebody who would let you onto the set. So one of the first things I did was I drove around with my friend Christian, this Mexican guy, and we drove around the hills, and we got all the way up on this valley, and we looked down over the city in the middle of the night to see where they were shooting films. Because that's where the lights would be. You'd see all the big lights, right? So we found a place, and we hopped into the little car and drove. And that day, during the day, we went to a store, an electronics store. I bought an earpiece, and I bought a walkie-talkie, but I couldn't buy a real one. I bought a kid's walkie-talkie that I just put in my pocket, and it kind of hung out, and I had the earpiece in. And we parked the car 2 or 3 miles away from the lights in the middle of the night, just walked onto the set. Started getting coffee for people. Oh yes, and just started handing out the thing because they wouldn't let us on. But from there, I met a guy who took me to lunch and said, "Who hired you?" It's a girl, Tracy. She was on some other bullshit. He's like, "Well, I don't know Tracy, but I do know that you guys did a good job. Why don't you come work on this other thing? We can only give you tiny little dollars." But I got no dollars for the first time, right? You just do that, and at no point. And when I went to Los Angeles, because I thought, I really believed this. Because I was an idiot kid. I was like 18, Jesus. Yeah, 18. I thought that if I just got in a car and I drove, this is going to blow your mind, guys, ready? I drove the 3 days drive it takes to get from one side of the United States to the other. It's actually the Midwest to the West. If I drove, he's like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's like 2,500 miles. If I drove that, I would hop out of the car and they would say, what's your name? And I would say, it's Don Thacker. And they'd say, what do you do, Don? I'd be like, I'm a filmmaker. And they'd be like, here's a budget. You can make a movie. It's going to be awesome. You can go sit next to Spielberg at lunch. They're the best. That's not a thing that happens. Los Angeles is like a fucking hell pit. It's it's a city of lost children in there, man. It's like a mess. It's the heaves and jeebs everywhere. It's like the worst, like heebie-jeebies. It's the worst scenario. It's a bad place if you don't know somebody. If you don't have a business, if you don't have business there. And I don't mean Los Angeles as a county. Los Angeles as a county is probably fine. But trying to be in a film industry where they're like literally everybody when they turn 18 goes to try to be a filmmaker and ends up being a waiter or a prostitute or like a drug dealer or something. Like, yeah, in every movie you see that because that's the only thing Hollywood ever gets correct, by the way. Is that you go to Hollywood and you become a drug addict. That's it, or like a drug dealer or like a prostitute. That's it. I wasn't going to be a prostitute. I wasn't going to be a drug addict. I wasn't going to be a drug dealer. I had to be a filmmaker. It took me 2 years to do anything in a film there. Anything, 2 years. To get the shittiest job at a studio, which is like getting coffee for people, being a production assistant. 2 years of actually going to film sets and sometimes letting somebody on, but he would have to write down that he paid me, and I'd have to sign a thing that said he paid me, but he couldn't give me actual money. Like just shit like that. For 2 years I had to do that. And I went out there with the full intention of being instantly a filmmaker. Because I'm from the Midwest. I'm from a place in the United States where people are idiots. I thought it was going to be, that's not true. Sorry, Midwesterners. I've been spending all week telling them how the Midwest is the best part of the United States. We invented the base. But I'm from a place where California seems like a magical dreamland. And it was bad. It was a bad scenario, and it took a lot of work. And the thing I had to lose when I got there is, well, all of my money. I got my clothes were all stolen, so I lost that. Somebody stole my car, so I lost my car. But the best thing to lose there was my ego, right? Because I had to go say, what am I willing to do for this thing that I've wanted to do since I was a little tiny baby human thing? So we're going to take an aside, and I'll tell you about the first moment I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker. And this is important. It's not just an egotistical self story. It's a story that I think should resonate with people. I was a little kid. Sorry you have to hear this again. They asked, I told them. I was a little kid, and I was watching Star Wars again. Jesus, Star Wars, the Star Wars thing. I was watching this documentary called From Star Wars to Jedi. It was the making of From Star Wars to Jedi. It was very easy to work out. But I was 4 and a half, so I didn't know. I thought I was watching Star Wars because there was a bunch of clips of Star Wars. And maybe I only told you. Maybe you didn't hear this. Oh, that was good. it's a bunch of clips of Star Wars, and I thought, oh, I'm going to watch Star Wars. I'm 4.5 years old. The only thing I understand in the world is that the sun goes up, the sun goes down. My mom makes lunch. That's just magic. It just happens every day. Who cares? She doesn't work or anything. It just magically happens. When I sleep, the world stops. When I wake up, the world's there. When I watch this box, I told you guys. I remember now. You're like, shut up. Okay. There's this magical box, and in this magical box, like fantasies come out, right? Sometimes it's Star Trek, sometimes it's Star Wars, sometimes it's Sesame Street or whatever. But I don't know anything about how like there are signals being sent through the air, and I know nothing. I'm 4.5. I know literally nothing. I just know that you push a button, magic. Kind of like you feel every day as a little tiny young non-student guy, right? Pre-student. This is how you feel all the time. I don't want to break your mind. Prepare. That's a joke. It's okay. I'm not personally insulting you. We don't have to fight. I would win. So there's this, I'm watching from Star Wars: The Jedi, and at one point, one of the Gamorrean guards, the pig guys, those are the pig dudes from Return of the Jedi, is walking around like a warehouse. What? That's weird. Like a real human warehouse. And pulls off its head. Because it's a documentary about the making of this stuff. Pulls off the fucking head. And my little 4-year-old brain's like, this isn't right, this is wrong. And in there was a girl. It was a girl's head. They pulled off the head, and a girl was in there. And a girl was wearing the head, I guess. And they showed a guy with a remote control. And he was manipulating the mouth. She's holding the head, and the mouth is moving. And my little brain is like, this doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense. I'm going to go insane. Just like you are thinking right now. You're doing a very good, very, very, very well, very manly of you to hold that. I was freaking out. And then they started showing them sculpting those things, like with clay, and painting them, and then putting the electronics inside. And I realized, those aren't real at all. The things in this box then probably aren't real. This whole thing is probably just something people made up, right? And they put in that box for me to see. I still don't understand how the shit gets in the box, but that's not real at all. People made it. I'm a people. I could one day make those fantasies in that box. And that's the only thing I cared about when I was a kid. It was in the 80s, so like, I don't know if you guys have this thought, but in the United States, the 80s were the time of television. Like, everybody just like, the TV was the babysitter. They put the kid in front of the TV, and the TV watched the kids watched cartoons and shows. Whatever. I was that kid, man. Like, my mom worked very hard every day, and because she worked very hard, the TV did a lot of talking to me because she was busy like trying to get us food, which is awesome. But it was baffling. I realized at that point that humans could make a thing, and I was a human being, and I could make those things. And I thought, at that point, I'm going to do this until I die. That's the thing I have to do is that. I have to do everything I can to make that happen. So of course I became a computer programmer. Right after high school. I made a bunch of film stuff, but I realized I need money to make films, so I thought I'd make computer programming stuff. The internet bubble was growing, and I thought if I made computer programs, I could make a lot of money, and then I could use that money to make films. But it turns out, you probably, if you're a working person right now, you probably recognize if you work for somebody and they're making money off of you, they're not going to let you go, and they're also not going to give you enough money to go. They'll give you just enough money to make it feel like you're doing good, right? But not enough to make you feel like you could stop and go spend literally $1 million on a movie. Like, that's not going to happen. You're never going to walk around with $1 million in your pocket. Maybe you are if you're much better at saving than I was, but that didn't happen to me. So I spent 12 years making computer programs and making films on the side. Third aside, so we were two levels of inception away from my original point. Don't do that. Sorry. Do that. Make movies any way you can. But when you decide that you're going to be the filmmaker, don't be the filmmaker who's also a barista. Don't be the filmmaker who's also the accountant. It's not going to work. You'll be an accountant who has the world's most expensive hobby. And it is the most expensive hobby. Don't do that. You make films to learn. Go hang out with your friends' films or whatever. Do that on the side. But the minute you say, I'm going to be a filmmaker, go make movies. And if you wake up in the morning and you don't have rent, find out how to make money from your movies. Otherwise, you're just going to be an accountant. You are what you do, right? You're going to be that forever. So anyway, back to the one level back. Saw the stuff when I was a kid, thought I was going to do it forever, and realized that the ego, so let's step all the way back, boom, boom, boom. The ego had to go away, like that siren. I know, important city shit, I'm talking. God, you guys in your public services. I recognized that when I went to Los Angeles, after the initial shock of, wait, what, you're not going to make me Steven Spielberg in a heartbeat? I realized that the only thing I had was my desire to make movies. That I was instantly 4.5 years old again. The only thing I could do was make those things, and I had to do everything in my power to do them. I had to sleep on somebody's couch. I had to go sleep in the woods. I have to go do whatever it is I have to do. One time I went on a film set as a PA, production assistant. This is sad. Get ready for sads. You guys probably don't care. You're like, but did you have communism? You're like, nope. And they're like, you guys, you don't know what you're talking about. So I went to a film set. I was hired. My first actual film set job where they were going to give me real money for real. It was going to be $75 for the whole day. Okay, which is, so it's okay if you're not making any money. $75 is okay. And this is in 1999, I think. So I drove a car, my car. I put $30 of gas that I didn't have. It was my last money. I had no dollars now, okay? To drive, because again, the States are huge. I had to drive really far to the set, which was out in the desert somewhere, to put $30 of gas. So when I drove home, I'd have to put at least $15 of gas. So my $75 has just become $60, right? To get home. So I drove all the way out to the set, and they gave me $75 up front. Awesome. Never happens. I'm Steven Spielberg now. They said, so this is what you're going to do. We're going to drive you in a Jeep, like 17 miles in one direction, and you're going to sit with a walkie-talkie at the edge of the desert. It's actually the edge of a ranch, like a rolling hill, desert over there, desert back there, rolling hill, and then 17 miles of rolling hills, and they're shooting 17 miles back that way. There's only one other entrance. It's back here. Stand out here with a walkie-talkie at a fence. There's a fence. It's one post, and then the fence goes into the ground. It's just one post that goes in. Just stand there and either let people in or tell them to go away, but just tell everybody to go away because nobody should be coming from this direction. That's your whole job. 12 hours. Stand there in the heat. It's California, it's summer. All the shooting outside happens in the summer. So okay, I'll do this. $75. I'm on a film set. This is the greatest. I'm making movies. So I'm standing there, and it's 1999, so my cell phone doesn't work, and it's not a smartphone. It's just a shitty, like, non-functioning cell phone. So the cell phone doesn't work, and it also doesn't have a good battery life. 4 hours in or whatever, my cell phone dies. I don't know what time it is anymore. They say like noon is when the sun is straight up, but the sun has like always been like kind of over there. So I went like this. So I don't know what the fuck time it is at all. The sun goes down, but I know I got there at like 7, so it might be that the sun went down at like 6. I don't know. I've never been to California before. I've only been here for it's my first summer in California. I don't know when the sun goes down. Turns out the sun goes down in California in the summer at like 10. But the sun goes completely down. I'm still standing. I haven't eaten lunch. I had a big bottle of water that I drank all the water. Standing out in the desert doing nothing. Finally, the sun comes up again. The sun's coming up. This is the only day they're shooting out here. So this must be the longest day. They must have worked all night long. This is really important that you get this shot. Nobody came to get me or whatever. So I have to eat something. I've gone to the bathroom every which way, like in the desert, and now I'm worried for my safety. So I start walking home. I don't know where home is. I know that we're like kind of in this desert, and there's like a hill that goes down. And I remember going up a hill. I just walked down the hill. I started walking down the hill. Hours go by. I have my shirt off, it's on my head like I'm in a movie. But there's civilization. I can see there's civilization. So I finally make it to enough of a civilization to find a taxi, like just on the edge of some town. I was like, I need you to take you to my address. And he goes, really? And I was like, yeah. So get in the taxi, and he starts driving me home. $58 later, I'm home. 58, 5-8. So I have $2 to my name, right? Then I borrow from my roommate money for gas. My car is still back there. I have to go get my car somehow, right? So I get it with my roommate at the time. By the way, my roommate doesn't like me because I don't have any money and I don't have a job, and I'm living in just a room. I'm not allowed in the rest of the house. I have to sneak into the room and hide, and then get out and sneak out of the room and go. So I asked my roommate if he'll give me a ride to get my car, and he said tomorrow. So my car's out in the desert somewhere, and I haven't eaten at this point. Not like now. Back then, I haven't eaten anything. I'm dying. It's not good. So I raid his fridge, which I'm not allowed to do, and I ate a piece of pineapple or something. That's all I could get. And then I have $2. So my phone, I plug my phone and I start charging my phone. And I have 17 missed calls and a voicemail. I pick up the voicemail, And I'm like, they're wondering where I am. They're wondering about my safety. They want to save me. They want to protect me. And I'm so lucky that I would tell them I made it home. It's totally fine. You guys didn't have to worry about me at all. It was totally okay. I totally lie. I'll just be like, everything's fine. I figured that, whatever. I get the voicemail. Mr. Thacker, this is the production department. It seems you've stolen one of our walkie-talkies. Because they signed it out to my name. So they left me in the desert, and they didn't care about me. They cared about the walkie-talkie. The radio was way more important than a human being. So it was the worst. I'm a white guy from the United States. I went there with some money. Like I had all the advantages. That's what I walked into, to make movies. I went back to making movies. I went back to sets, of course. Of course you do. You have to put all the things aside. And the whole time I had the same thing in my head that all of you had, that everybody has, not just you guys. We didn't just randomly pick the only people with egos in the world and put them in a building. I had the same thing all of us have, which is like, but I'm important. I'm special. Technically, I'm probably better at things than you are in some ways. Like that's what I thought when I was 18 or whatever, stuck out in the middle of the desert. The ending of the story is really, really dark. So I had no money, and my roommate driving to get my car. I took my car. I spent my last bit of money driving the car back, and there's a restaurant called Red Lobster in the United States. It's like shitty. It's like the worst. Sorry, stream. It's like almost fast food, but it's seafood, which is like you shouldn't cook poorly because you get really sick really fast, right? And I had $15 now. I borrowed $30 from my roommate. I put $15 of gas in the car. I had $15 left. I'm driving home. I haven't eaten in like 3 days. I'm super hungry, and I know that like whatever I go spend money on, $15 on, I'm probably gonna have to eat forever. And it's gonna be the biggest amount of food. So I see this sign, Red Lobster, all you can eat shrimp, $11. And my little 18-year-old brain is like, I have an idea. I'm just gonna eat as much shrimp as is humanly possible. I'm gonna stay for 4 hours and just eat everything. And I'm gonna walk around like this for like 2 days, and I'll be able to survive. It'll be awesome. But also I'm really hungry, so this idea sounds perfectly logical to me. So I go there and I sit down, I go to eat, and they're just like, what do you want? And then you can order like different types. So I ordered just like the normal shrimp. I didn't want to get like a bunch of butter and stuff. And so like just the normal shrimp. And so like 2.5 hours later, they're like, are you gonna still be eating here? Yeah, I just ate. I ate for the whole afternoon. I ate all the shrimp. So little did I know, this is the worst. I went back to to my roommate's place, snuck into the room, and we shared a bathroom. And he was a gay dude. He had his boyfriend over. His boyfriend was gigantic. His boyfriend didn't want me there. He didn't like another guy being in the apartment with his boyfriend. He thought, what's the other guy doing? The other guy is lost in the desert and like eating as much shrimp as possible and like really wants a girlfriend. So I get home and I'm like, I'm gonna try to sleep, and I lay back and I'm uncomfortable. I lay on my side and I'm uncomfortable. It's just like I'm pregnant with a shrimp belly. I'm gonna give birth to Cthulhu. It's the worst. And then all of a sudden I start to feel really sick. And I'm like, well, I have to hold this in. I can't throw this up, right? But it's like the worst sick I've ever felt. So, technical fact, in that particular summer, California experienced what's called a red tide, where all of the mercury that had gone out into the sea had come back, and all of the seafood around the rim had been poisoned with mercury and iodine. And the iodine came from, the red part was a bunch of algae that lives off of that stuff. All the shrimp ate all the algae ate all the mercury and all the iodine, and it filled all the shrimps up with iodine, and it was this giant news 3 days later. So I had this I just ate like 4 hours worth of shrimp, like pounds and pounds of like poisoned shrimp. I went into the bathroom and threw up. And threw up for as long as it took me to eat all that food. I was throwing this food up and crying into the toilet because this is all the food I had. Like I was looking like, what am I supposed to do? The pineapple is no longer in the fridge. I can't eat the pineapple. And if I steal food, the big guy is gonna beat me up and whatever. And the next day I got up, that was during one day, like a whole day I puked. So the following day after throwing up, I went and asked the guy who got me the job, that shitty job that like ruined my life forever, if he could get me on another film set. That's the thing you have to have. Are you willing to throw up for a day? and be in the desert and get heat stroke and blah, 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 and then go do it the next day for somebody for no money. If you don't have that, go home, do something else. Because when you finally make it up to change, right now I'm a film director. I'm a film director by profession. I started dating this girl a while back, and like our second date, I brought her onto a film set because I'm the director. Do you know how fucking cool that looks? Like, do this, and then I'll blow this up, and like move the thing, and she's just standing like, oh wow, I mean, yeah, it's just me. Do this, like that. To get there though took 8 years, right? And one thing I have that is super important to me, and though I'm sure crews that I work with, not all crews will believe this because I push my crews very hard, I have an understanding of what it means to be the guy on the other side, the director over there pointing and saying, do this or whatever. And I know the ego chain that it takes to go from being the guy throwing up the shrimp to being the guy being served seafood for lunch while everybody else eats sandwiches, which I'd never eat, by the way. I always eat after everybody. But I know what it means to be, I know that process, that step. And I would rather, if somebody said to me when I was 18, here's $1 million to make a movie, I would do it. I'd be the worst. It'd be the worst scenario. I'd make a dumb movie that didn't make any fucking sense. My first movie was not $1 million and won awards and stuff. It's still kind of a dumb movie that doesn't make any sense. My second movie is a really expensive, kind of dumb movie that doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure every movie until I get much better than I already am. But I'm a working director. I'm on my 40th project right now. Like I do this for a living, for a profession, and only 8 years in was I asked to go to the meeting. Did I go to the meeting and go like, Jesus, man, where have you been? It's been 8 years. No, I sat there. Thank you for allowing me to have this meeting with you, right? And these people that you're going to meet, here, anywhere, if they're business people, if they're people who don't do what you do as a filmmaker, they're going to say to you, I have this idea. It's like E.T., but with a dog, but he's a robot, and it turns into a woman, and the woman has big boobs. And you're like, oh, God, that's the worst ever. But you have to go, oh, yeah, I'm offended. But it sounds good. Let me take a stab at it. I'll write something, right? You have to be able to put all of your bullshit aside. There was a guy, I was doing a symposium like this. He's way in the back. There's like hundreds of people. He's way in the back. And he held up his hand for a question. I said, who are you and what you do? Just like I asked all you guys. And he goes, well, I fancy myself a filmmaker. I said, cool, why are you here? He said, well, I wanted to hear you talk. I said, but you're a filmmaker. You don't need to hear me. I'm just some random guy talking about movies. Why are you here? Well, you know, I've made a film here or there. Really cool. Which one? I got a whole collection of DVDs. Which one of the DVDs is yours? Which one did you make, right? And the whole time, his brother, you saw his brother sit next to him going, because his brother was super smart. This kid was like, not. And he was just like, ah. And his brother, at the end, the whole time, every time I made a joke about somebody wanting to be a filmmaker, I'd say, because that guy fancied himself a filmmaker. And I just like, and hit this. I punched this guy in the face verbally for like 2 hours because he didn't have the perspective that you need. You absolutely need. He was just some college kid who thought, I borrowed my dad's camera and I shot my girlfriend and she's kind of ugly and the worst actress, but I think she's great. She's the first girl I've ever seen naked, so that's really nice. I fancy myself a filmmaker, but it's bullshit, right? It's all bullshit until you can take your art, use it to communicate with people, and make it a business. It's bullshit. It's going to be bullshit forever. Like I said, I made movies. I was a computer programmer for 12 years. I stopped that, started making movies. I made movies for 2 years before. People are like, what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm an ex-computer programmer. What are you doing right now? I'm working on a couple of art projects, probably going to fail. Not because I'm pessimistic. I was working my ass off in these projects, but, you know, statistically, I used to do math, like, probably going to fail. It was important for me to recognize that I shouldn't call myself a filmmaker until I made films, for like the shoemaker thing at the beginning, right? Shoemaker, how many shoes you made? Well, I've been thinking a lot about shoes. Oh, not a shoemaker then. Just some asshole who said, well, a shoe thinker. Yeah. I think a lot of people are film thinkers, film dreamers, right? You got to take those dreams and like pound them into reality. And that doesn't mean sacrificing them. It doesn't mean getting rid of them. It doesn't mean, it does mean changing them a little bit, changing them to a more realistic, better scenario. There's an interesting, unique moment right now that I want to tell you about that got me to stand in front of you guys and tell you about this. I had a movie called Motivational Growth. It came out in 2013. You can get it on Steam. That's awesome. It's the first narrative feature film on Steam. I'm going to say that after, because it's bragging, you know? It's the first narrative feature film on Steam. I'm the guy who made it. Yeah, clap. Clap for me. Clap for me. No, don't stop clapping. Why did you clap? But it was a pretty big deal for me to make this movie. I had it all planned out. I did all my work, did all my homework, took all that knowledge from being in Los Angeles and all the blood and sweating and puking and all that, took all that work and made my first feature film. Holy shit. And I was working on it. I got everybody that I thought I could get. I got all the good people that I could afford. I hired a guy from Sweden to do all my data because he was a friend that I knew and he knew data and it was really cool or whatever, but he'd never been to the United States before, and he came to the United States. His mind exploded because he thought we all had guns. He thought all our bread was all super sweet. He thought there's all this crazy stuff. That was an inside joke for you guys. But he kind of like lost it. He didn't know what to do with himself in the United States. He's from like a little sleepy town in Sweden somewhere, in Gothenburg, Sweden. I was like 45 minutes outside of Gothenburg, and he came to like Chicago, Illinois. He was not ready. He lost his mind a little bit. He's a cool dude, and he's an incredible artist right now, but at the moment, this dude lost his mind, and he was in charge of all our data. And our film was a digital film, and we were shooting and taking all this digital data, and his job was to take the digital data from the camera cards, log it, back it up 3 different times, and then, because I was a big nerd, I had a distributed network system. So on the set, you could, as long as the data made it into this folder, it would go to 3 different places. It would go to South Florida, it would go to Chicago, like where we were, and it would go to California. So you could bomb 2/3 of the United States, but my shitty movie would still exist. Like that was important, but it had to make it to that folder. And this Swedish guy was drinking more and more every day because apparently it's not as easy to get alcohol or whatever in Sweden, or maybe the varieties of, but he was just like, drinking all day, big Viking dude just drinking all day. And we went to do some editing and we found out that we have some trouble. We're missing footage for a whole day. It's $11,000 worth of footage. It's a whole day of footage. Gone. Instant. The guy didn't drag it to the thing. He only dragged the sound. He didn't drag the... One step. That's why he had one job. If he did the one job, the computer would have put it all over Earth. Whoop. He was busy and didn't do the thing. And it was super bad. It was super bad because it was the one scene in our film where the main character, who is a human, starts actually having a fucking conversation with a chunk of mold on his bathroom floor, who's the other main character of the movie, who's not human. It's a large chunk of fungus. It's a puppet. There's a big, complicated like robot thing. It's voiced by Jeffrey Combs, very famous dude. But big moment. It was the first time this guy acknowledges that this fungus thing exists and is talking to him. He starts talking to him earlier in the movie, but it's the first time he says, you know what, I'm going to try to talk to this thing and see if it's real. He thought he just OD'd on some chemicals and like was just, the mold is talking. So he goes to talk to the thing and it's gone. We only have the audio. It's all we've got. It's really good because the audio is really expensive to get, but still, no footage. I'm fucked. What if the part where, you remember the E.T. is in the shed and Elliot and they got the Reese's Pieces and the whole, that thing. What if that just disappeared? How would the movie work? Elliot's like, he was in charge of getting the things into the backups. That's his only job. He was from the camera card to the backups. That's all he had, because the camera has a card, right? You pull the card out, put it in the machine, put the stuff on the backups. Copy paste. That's it. Just whoop. Copy paste, verify. Copy paste, verify. He had reports that he had to fill out by hand to make sure he didn't fill any of them out. Just whatever. And my crew was too small, so nobody was looking over his shoulder. Are you sure? Nobody did that. He's the guy from Sweden. He's fine. They know how to drink there. It's fine that he's drinking literally all day. All the data for one day, all of it, except for the audio. So what do? What if the ET part is gone? The first part of ET where they meet. They're having pizza dinner and then he goes outside and he sees ET for the first time. What do you do for there? Well, my main character, sorry I don't want to get too much into the movie, but my main character actually is obsessed with television. And he imagines himself to be in television shows a lot when he's watching TV. It's kind of like his character conceit. So we thought, okay, I will make an animated TV show. And at this point in the movie, the character has considered himself to be, watched a bunch of TV shows and considered himself, and I will make one of the animated TV shows when the guy kind of falls asleep in front of the TV, he will imagine in this dream that he meets this mold thing, and then later we cut it slightly so it feels like we don't know if he really did, right? It could have been a dream. And then later when it turns out he's actually talking to the thing, it's this bigger, more impactful reveal. It's a much more arty thing. It's much more smooth. It's much cleaner. And oh, cool. That's awesome. That's incredible. But the only problem is now I have to have an animated thing on the television. I have to animate a thing. I can't fucking animate a thing. And I have to make it compelling and look like from the 90s because all the TV shows were shot to look like they're from the 90s. They have to be like fast and action and interesting. So what I did was I contacted an animator friend of mine, Jeremy Perrin in France, who does all this really, he's doing a thing called Last Man right now. It looks really incredible. You should check it out. But he did a thing called Trucker's Delight, which was an animation, a really cool animation, pixel art animation to music. He also did a cool Flares music video. It was pretty neat. He was awesome. And I contacted his representation. I said, I need a commercial for a video game because I want to use pixel art because it's the 90s. Commercial for a video game, and then I need a couple of more animated scenes of my main character interacting with the elements of that video game. And they said, okay, cool, let's pitch them the idea. We sent them the script, the whole thing worked. Then they came back to me and was like, what's the video game? Do you have a video game in mind? And I was like, well, I've been trying to make this game since I was 9 years old called Star Mazer. I know nothing about making games. I mean, I'm a programmer and I have friends who make games, but I made like database programs and stuff. It'd be really cool to like start making Star Mazer. And it'd be really cool if I had the art assets. It'd be really cool if I had the art assets from this guy in France who's like the famous pixel art guy. And it'd be really cool if I did this all with the money that was meant to go for the scene in the movie. So what we did was to get the money for it, there were a bunch of movie, TV shows that this guy watches, that he goes into. They all had individual budgets for each of the TV show. I just deleted one of them and took that money and sent it to France and had him animate this whole thing, animate all this stuff, and animate the intro to my video game, right? The trailer for my video game. And I pitched the video game, I wrote it all out, we gave them the whole thing. And when I showed my producer, she thought it was really great. She's like, this looks really cool, it totally integrates. We edited it into the movie, the guy goes in the TV and he exists in this world, he does pixel arty things, and then he wakes up and then he talks to the mold and it's this big fucking moment and holy shit, it's actually real and it looks like super intentional and super important. And that thing, which by the way started as a complete failure.
Thank you, Swedish guy.
Thank you, drunk Swedish dude. That thing, I took the trailer for that video game, the game that I really wanted to make since I was like 9 years old, but wanted to make movies first, so I'm making movies, right? I took that trailer and I held on to it because it was really cool. And then I went and showed the movie for a year. Traveled all over the world, not to Romania, unfortunately. But only recently it was showed for the first time here in Livu's apartment. But I took it all over the world and showed it to a bunch of people, and I always got 3 questions. The first one was, how did you get to work with Jeffrey Combs? He was the famous guy who was the voice of the mold. You pay a bunch of people a lot of money. That's how you work with those guys. You talk to the agent says, how much money do you have? And they're like, not enough money. And they're like, well, need more money. And then you go get more money. That's how you do it. The second question was, have you done drugs? Because my movie's weird. Like, I've never done drugs ever, but that's fine. And the third question was, where can I buy that video game? On the TV screen. Where can I buy that game? Literally 33 festivals. Every single screening, somebody put their hand up. Where can I get that game? Where can I get that game? Where can I get that game? So I thought to myself, well, I want to make a game. And by the way, after the film was edited and it was in color and music and everything, I needed to make money, so I started programming stuff. I didn't want to program databases, so I started working with a game company. I started doing like black boxes for games, and I was like, oh, I'm in games now. And I got all these assets, and I got this game I want to make. Holy shit, what if I wanted to make this game the greatest? So I know I needed a bunch of money for this game. Check this out, this is crazy business, right? I said, I want to make this game, how much is it going to cost? I talked to my game friends, they said, that's $500,000. I'm like, I don't have that. My movie wasn't even that amount of money, that's ridiculous. I can't get that money. Go to Kickstarter, they said. And I was like, I don't have anything to show. And they're like, what game is it? I'm like, it's Star Mazer, remember from the movie? They're like, just show the thing from the movie. And I was like, no. Like, do people want to buy it when they see the thing? And I was like, yeah, they super do want to buy it when they see the thing from the movie. So I took it, and of course I changed it. I modernized it, and I added some things. We labored over every like second of that video. But I took basically the same thing that's in the movie, and I got with my friends, and we put a design document together. We put a pitch and a budget, and we like actually worked out what it would take. We started to build an engine. We realized we can do this. I put it on Kickstarter, raised a bunch of thousands of dollars of money. And now I've got an enterprise. I'm releasing a game this week in the Star Mazer universe. I'm releasing Star Mazer next year. These guys met me because of the Star Mazer Kickstarter, and now I'm working on Gibbous. Now I'm in Romania talking to you guys. Thank you, Swedish guy. That guy fucked up my movie. Never again.
He deserves a raise.
Nope. The trick is, though, if I just put the regular scene in the movie would have been fine, right? But I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't have met her, my girlfriend, because I moved to Seattle to make the game. The Swedish guy, I was a Swedish guy for my girlfriend. She's a game tester at PopCap. She does really cool game stuff. She would never look at me, who doesn't work in games at all. She would never do that. She's nice. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is this is chapter 10, the final chapter before we move on to questions. Do we go tonight? Oh, he's a musician. He's really, really, really good.
Did he get fired from the movie?
No. We didn't know until after that we didn't have the footage. So we thought, good job! And we sent him back to Sweden. But he didn't know. And I called him and said, you fucked my movie. And he's like, I can't do anything. I'm in Sweden. Okay. Thanks, Swedish guy. So anyway, final chapter. Really fast chapter. There's a phrase. I don't know if there's a Romanian phrase that's similar, but there's a phrase. Or should I say Transylvania? Is that better? A Transylvanian phrase. I don't know. What should I use? Should I use Transylvanian or Romanian as like a? Do you guys? No big no. It's fine. This phrase is there are sometimes happy accidents. Is that a thing you guys have? Like sometimes you trip and fall and you find $100 on the ground that you never have seen or whatever. Happy accident.
Happened to me today.
Yeah, you walked in here. You were like, I need to talk a lot tonight. I have nowhere to do it. And you found a place. That's what I did too, though. I came to talk a lot. Yeah. So what ended up happening was I learned in this first film that there's no such thing as happy accidents at all. All accidents are happy accidents. Sounds really dark if you're like, but what if my legs get cut off? Right? That's okay. Well, your perspective on life will change. You'll be a more enlightened human. Also, you'll never have to worry about all the running. Happy accidents. No, sorry. That was really dark. But in filmmaking, as long as it's not like life-threatening or actually like damaging to a person, I don't think there are non-happy accidents. This gets a little bit philosophical, and I'm sorry if it does, but there's this idea about filmmaking that people kind of ignore, which is, and this is kind of heady, because I used to do physics. Like I said before, I did like school, programming, physics, movie. There's this idea that we have of the universe. Like at some point the universe started, right? That happened. I'm sure we can all agree that maybe it happened.
It's actually challenged that there's always been matter and it's always been
Shifting, yes, okay, we could get in. Did you work on the Tevatron? Because I did. Yes, you're right. That theory is a sound theory. So this universe, the universe in which the energy configuration that presents what we consider matter, am I doing this okay for you, existed. It started at some point and will end at another point, and when it ends, we'll probably puncture a hole in what we call space-time and vent all of this energy into some other place, or at least a portion of it, and create a whole new one. And it'll just be this constant, but at some point something had to start. Who gives a shit? I'm talking about this universe. So the heat birth of the universe starts, right? And a series of events takes place. And all atomic mass and all energy and all that stuff just goes and goes, and billions and billions and billions of years, and I was born. So the universe has achieved something now. Me and every one of you. That's kind of the joke. It's all of us, right? Each one of us is a unique spark, unique sentience. I'm now walking around in this giant engine of physics, doing all this cool stuff, and standing in this building that's made of wood that was grown out of trees that were pollinated by some animal or some wind, or just fucking magic. It's not really magic, it's just math, but you can work it all out. It's very cool. But the reason I'm saying all of this is really important is because one day, one of you, statistically none of you, but let's pretend, one day one of you will have the opportunity to stand with a camera. Well, you technically, but it's boring stuff. I've seen it. I'm joking. We'll stand with a camera, which is just another device made out of matter, whose only job is to eat photons, right? And you will, using abstract thought, you will convince this machine to eat a certain number of photons in a certain way, and you'll get other people with abstract thought to stand around and say dumb shit at each other in a really certain way, and some of them will pretend to die, and some of them will pretend to be very happy when they're really very sad, and some of them will pretend to be very sad when they're really very happy. And none of that abstractly means anything to like a tree or to an alien or whatever, but we'll do it because we're abstract people. And the whole time we've got this machine, like those machines, and they'll just consume those photons, and they'll write them to some sort of media, and then we'll take that photonic information. This is so weird, right? Why would we do this? We take all this information and this is the important part, a specific state of photons in the universe at a specific time. That's filmmaking. It's taking a certain set of photons and writing them onto a fucking media of some kind. It's silver membrane film, or it's fucking digital whatever, a card that writes data, or whatever. Sorry, a chip that writes RGB color data, or CMYK color data, or 4K data, or Dragon data, or whoever gives a shit. You're just catching the physical state of photons. And you take all that, this is how it is. Now, abstractly, it's mostly lies, because we're not documentary filmmakers right now, we're Steven Spielberg. So that shark's not real, that shark's made out of rubber, but it doesn't matter. It has all of the photonic properties of a shark jumping out of the water, except it's a little awkward and kind of rubbery, but who cares? We shoot that, and we're going to record that onto some device, and we're going to take that, so we're going to take it further and lie about it more. We're going to abstract that further. We're going to change the colors. We're going to change those photons. And eventually we're going to take those photons. This is where it gets really fucking weird. Those photons, like the trace of those photons, we're going to take all that. We're going to lie about it and change them and manipulate it. We're going to put it in an opposing device and spray them into your eyeballs as though you were standing there when the photons came. But they're a different set of photons now because we fucked with them. And they will represent only in a tertiary manner the original set of photons. Why am I saying all of this? Because films can only happen the second that they're happening. The instance, this is all just kind of a jokey rigging to point out that when you film, when you say action, if you said action 1 second later, everything would be different. Every single time, right? It doesn't matter how many times you rehearse it or how many times the state of every actor's actual human organism is shifting constantly, just like yours are today. One of you I know has farted quietly, and that's good, but you had to fart, and then you farted, and now you're different. You know? There's microbial life has changed. It's a big deal. It's okay to joke about these things, guys. You can laugh. It's fine. They did. They're artists, though. The point, though, is that when you make a film, you are capturing a unique moment in the history of the universe, which leads to point 10. Filmmaking is problem solving. How does that relate? Well, because you're capturing a unique point in human history and further in like physical history of the entire universe, you cannot know what to expect. You can plan all you want. You can write down all the scripts and you can do all the rehearsals you want, but that fucking second you say action, you have entered a new reference frame. Everything is up for grabs. Everything's wild fucking west. It doesn't matter where you are. There's a fucking plane could fall out of the sky, right? If that happens, point the camera at it all the way. Not to be morbid, but that's production value. You can't afford that. It's hard to get that. It's expensive. I mean, then put a thanks, this film is dedicated to. Everybody survived in this scenario, guys. It was a prop plane and the guy jumped out, but you got to see the plane crash. My point is, all accidents are happy accidents, and filmmaking is problem solving. It doesn't matter how much planning you guys have. How many seats are here, how many people are here. They plan for one thing, another thing happened. That's just how life happens. Every moment of your life is like this way. But film is the only place where you can take those moments and change them, manipulate them, tell the story you want to tell with that. There's a problem with, remember the whole, going all the way back to the beginning, this is what we call the pre-wrap-up, the pre-conclusory wrap-up. From the beginning, we were talking about writing and story and how that is like the bedrock of making films. There's a major problem with that. Have you ever read a script for a film that you really like? Ever? Not one on the internet where some guy transcribed the film, but like if you've ever read, they don't read like what you saw. And that's because no matter how much you try, somebody on the set isn't going to do the right thing. The director might not do the right thing. The director might fucking hate the script. He might have lied the entire time, which I have done, and then just shot something else, and it was better, and everybody made money, and it was very happy. That happened to me too. One time it was the worst. I fucking failed. It was the worst. I didn't do what they wanted me to do, and it was the worst. You'll never see it. My point is, you're going to do something that can't exist and won't exist the way you thought it existed ever. When I shot Motivational Growth, which isn't my only movie, but is the movie that I'm talking about like this whole time. So when I shot that, it was not a horror movie at all. I didn't know it was a horror movie. I didn't try to make a horror movie. Yeah, okay, so a girl gets cut up and a guy throws up a lot and there's a monster played by the king of horror, Jeffrey Combs. It's whatever, but it doesn't matter. It wasn't horror. It became a horror movie. I didn't mean it to. I planned for it not to be, and I didn't know until the movie was done that it was a horror movie. During the filmmaking process, all kinds of accidents happened. That one thing with the Swedish guy happened. I had to take that and spin it. I turned that one Swedish guy's accident into me here in Romania right now talking to you guys. If that guy didn't fuck up, I wouldn't be standing here. That's incredible. Now granted, you can say that about literally everything in life, but film is the only time where you have literally took a whole bunch of money and pointed it at one moment and tried to make something happen with that moment. Now you can do that with like a construction project or any other kind of work, but we're talking about art now. We're talking about something like a painter can paint and repaint and repaint and repaint and repaint and repaint and repaint. Those photons don't go away. Once I record them, they stay. I can manipulate them after the fact, but if somebody did a terrible performance, I can't change it. How many times you hear about them scraping off 3 layers of paint and you find out Da Vinci did like 6 paintings? Right? That's fine. I can go shoot 6 movies and like record them all with the same disc or something, but those paintings were deliberate. Filmmaking is deliberate to a point. It's collaborative, and it's collaborative, it's abstract, and you can't really plan for it. What you need to do is plan as much as you can and solve the problems that present themselves, and they will present themselves constantly. The hard work that I told you about, I don't ever plan to work an 18-hour day. I always plan to work a 12-hour day. I'd love to work a 10-hour day. That'd be great. Take 2 extra hours, maybe go see a movie, because that's how like movie obsessed I am. Right? That'd be great, but it never happens. It never happens not because I'm shit at it. I'm not. It's really not me. It's my crew. My crew's incredible. They're awesome. They kick all kinds of ass. If I didn't have my crew, everything would be 5,000 hours late. It would be 3 days to shoot 1 day of film because I have a really cool crew. They make it 18 hours and not 12 hours because we didn't expect the number of lights in the room to raise the ambient temperature that we could only afford 1 studio. 2 studios down, the paraffin melted because we don't have traditional sprinkler systems in the studio, but they do in the office building. And the vents for that day were closed from the outside because the rain was coming in the vents. So all of our hot air went up and went into the top 3 feet of the ceiling of an office building and melted the paraffin in the sprinkler system and turned on the sprinkler system, which exploded all the computers. That is not plannable. You can't plan that. Even if you knew the systems were all set up, you could never know that some random guy would shut the ventilation system to the outside world because it rained. Even though it's a lateral system and he shut it because he thought it was on the ceiling, but it was on the side of the wall. So it never would have mattered because who knew? Now we have the fucking police are coming and the fire, whatever. You know what I'm saying? How do you plan for that? You can't. How do you take advantage of it? Well, you do have like 75 firemen out there. Point a camera at those guys. Do what you can. You know what I'm saying? You have to take advantage of that. So work hard, go to a symposium or something and learn how to like actually make films. I'm doing one on Friday where we talk about actually like doing it. It'd be very cool. So it's gonna take a lot of hard work. It's not easy. Knowing people is super important, right? Check your ego, please. Get rid of it. It doesn't exist. If you think you're better than somebody else, you're super wrong. I mean, you might be better than like the worst person. Everybody that you're better than is probably just the worst person. Just imagine that. Like everybody that you're like better than is probably really shitty. Because if you haven't made it already, you can't talk. You can. Lucian knows a lot, but he's still fucking here, so he doesn't know enough. Right? All of us. This is not just you. I just know your name. I know Livu, but I'm working for him. So if I fuck that up, that's a problem. I'm working with him, technically. Correct. I own you. I don't. It's a joke. But yeah, no. So you don't know, and even if you do know, you super don't know. When you hear that Steven Spielberg worked on AI with Stanley Kubrick, and you find out why he did that, and he wanted to learn how to make movies. What? Steven Spielberg needed to learn how to make movies? I wanted to learn from Steven Spielberg how to make movies. How is Steven Spielberg learning how to make movies from another guy who just kind of winged it? If you ever like read Stanley Kubrick's scenario, he just kind of did it. So Steven Spielberg is trying to learn from the guy who just kind of did it. And he just kind of did it perfectly. And yes, there's school and there's all this other stuff. Addendum, 10.5. Don't go to film school or go to film school. It doesn't really matter. It depends on your personality or whatever. Film school is, I don't know, it depends on who you are. I've had people who've gone to film school and they've been really great. They got to make their first little thing and it gave them just the nudge that they needed. And I've had other people go to film school and think that they know everything about film and they don't ever make films and they're the worst people on earth ever. They're worst. They're the worst. Think of like the worst person you can imagine, like the worst one, and then like film school graduate who hasn't made a film is just a little higher. Because at least that guy did something like of note, the guy that you're thinking about. You're probably thinking of like really big famous people who like took over continents and stuff. Film school guy didn't even do that. He just talked about it. It's the worst. You hate that guy. other points. Business is important, super important. I can't tell you how to do it, unfortunately, especially not in Romania. I don't know. I have no idea. This place seems like a place you could probably get some money in somehow. I don't know. I know that the place that I'm trying to get money in has been doing it for 120 years, and they've got a well-oiled machine that tells you no. This is what they tell you. It's this. Oh, hello, yeah, it's nice to meet you. Yeah, okay, cool, whatever. They spent 130 years working out the best way to say fuck off. Like, and they say it really nicely, too. They give you a little cup of coffee, a little cafe. You wanna, yeah, I really love it. You're great, you're the best. You're the best. No, I love you. We'll call, we'll talk to you. It'll be great, this is good. And all I'm hearing is no, fuck off, no. Until they put a check on the table, and even the check could bounce. So until there's like an escrow account somewhere, stay away. That's not to say people in Hollywood are bullshit. There are a lot of bullshit people in Hollywood, but there are a lot of people. So there are a lot of really great people as well. But what I'm saying is you can't rely on the person you randomly meet to be the best person, right? Meet a lot of people, network, be friendly, talk to people who are better than you. That's another 10.6. Always work with people better than you, always. If you find a guy who's a better director than you, hang out with that guy a lot because he's better than you and you know it. Deep down inside, you fucking know it. If you see a guy and you're like, well, you want your friends all to believe you're better than him, then just hang out with him on the side. Get better, learn. You'll never know enough. You'll never know enough. You'll always be chasing the demon. You'll always be chasing the answer. And you want that, because that's what gives you that hunger that we were talking about before. That's what gives you the Steven Spielberg making Raiders of the Lost Ark. It gives you that drive. There's some reason, I gotta get out of this, I gotta move on. I do those little commercial things because they're cheap and they're fast, and every single one of them is something that I have, like, I'm trying to, if I get $30,000, my crew hates me for this. They hate me for this. Literally, there are some people in my city who don't ever want to work with me, ever. They're like, I found recently a little, like a Facebook group of people who talked about people they never wanted to work with, and I was one of them. I'm fine with that. I wanted, if I get $30,000, I want to make an $80,000 thing. And what I don't want.
Publicity is still publicity, right?
Pardon?
Bad publicity is still publicity.
Sure. If they're the crew that would work with you, it's probably not that great because you're losing crew. But the fact is, the crew that has stuck around has made with me like 30 projects that every single one of them, they have said to me is the best project they've worked on. In the end. During it, it fucking sucks. It's building a pyramid. Building a pyramid probably sucks. But the pyramid lasts for generations, right? That kind of thing. Granted, they use slaves to build pyramids, so maybe that's the wrong message, but that was intentional. My point though is, you can, the film will last, the relationship you want to last, knowing the people you want to last, but the film will last beyond you, hopefully, if you've done it right. So for me, if it's making one person who doesn't want to work 18-hour days angry, while making 30 people who are fine with working 18-hour days or who work the 18-hour days and knowing what comes out of it, I'll make that person angry. I'm sorry. I gotta make, the film is important. The story, the whatever is important. I'll do that for a client, like a client. I won't even do it just for myself. I'll do it for myself, of course, but for the client, I'll do it. So yeah, that's important. Hard work, crews, get the best people you can find. Try not to piss them off, feed them, that's another thing. We'll get into more of the practical stuff on Friday though. How many of you guys think you're gonna make it on Friday? I know Friday's like a party night or whatever. You guys like tear it up.
I'll make it.
You can raise your hands and I won't remember. I'll remember you. So you better be here on Friday. Do you have stuff to do on Friday?
I will go abroad, so I won't be
You're going up, you're leaving. The country even. Where are you going?
Hungary.
I've heard nothing but this is insanity. Why are you going to Hungary?
On vacation with my parents.
Well, Friday's off. We're not going to do Friday anymore, guys. I'm sorry. Guys going to Hungary. Anyway, no, I'll talk on Friday about more like practical stuff, how to actually do a lot of really complicated stuff that people don't know how to do in films, I guess, or whatever I've learned. Do you guys have any questions? I don't know how much time I have left. That guy keeps staring at me because he really wants to go home. You're saying no, but I see. I've done this. You know how many times I've done this? I know that look. You guys ask questions. We're going to keep this guy here for a little time. Feel free to ask some questions. Oh, we have a microphone for questions. You get a microphone. This is great. This is so official now. You have a low voice too, so this is going to be awesome.
When did you assemble your crew?
Ooh, okay. A lot of my crew I assembled in 2009 on my first feature film. And in 2009, we started to build a crew. The first crew I assembled for that film, actually, 6 days into shooting the film, I had to fire my entire camera team. It's like 7 people. I had to just fire all of them. Like they were the worst. They said they were really good, and how do you know? They just say they're going to do it. I had to fire them. So I assembled my core crew myself, my director of photography. Normally, like a director sticks with a director of photography or a cinematographer. Not a lifetime, but a lot. I've used my director of photography for 90% of what I've worked on. Some of the things he was not available. He's a working cinematographer, and a lot of times people pay a lot more money than I do. So if like National Geographic or me, he's going to go shoot for National Geographic. So sometimes I had to use some other people, but if I can, I use my cinematographer. The sound people that I'm using now, I've used for years. So yeah, I kind of stick with the crew, but that's not always the case. Sometimes your crew is per project basis. And a lot of the crew that I use, if it's not the core like 6 or 7 people, my editor and script supervisor is the same person, my on-set photographer is the same person. When I was in Chicago for a couple of years, I'm not from Chicago, when I was there, I used the same sound recording guy every time. And I knew how to set things up so that it would sound right. Like when he recorded it. It was really cool. So finding a good crew that you can stick with is really important. But my longest standing crew members are since 2009. But that's probably 4 people. My average crew is like 30 people. On a feature film, I can get up to 40. So, and I'm sure on a large feature film, it'll get way bigger than that, but the films that I've worked on.
Another question? Another question? Wait. You say you bought your own equipment, right?
Mm-hmm.
When was that? When just started, you invested all your money in it.
Yeah, I fucked up. Don't do that. It's bad.
Why?
Don't do it. Because I bought a bunch of equipment that was completely outdated the next year. For my film Motivational Growth, when I budgeted out the t-shirt company that I was telling you about, I worked out all of the material equipment I would need to shoot the film. I did all the research. What I didn't know, stuff that you would know when you worked on films for a living, I was never a director of a film. I was always the PA or the first AD or whatever. I was never the guy who got to like work directly with the producer. One thing I didn't know that would happen would be if I made my own film company, I could get a director of photography who like has all of his own stuff, and it's probably way better than any stuff I can get. Because he's worked on 100 jobs to buy the best equipment, and he's been renting it with his services, and sometimes they're really nice, and they'll rent it for free as long as you pay them for their time. I didn't know any of that, so I thought I'd need the equipment, right? I was an idiot. So I bought cameras, so I couldn't buy a good camera. Couldn't buy like a Red or whatever else.
What did you buy?
Motivational Growth, my first feature film, which by the way, has made money, and it's got a bunch of awards. I have to justify all of this. I bought a Canon 5D Mark II, and I shot that movie on a Canon 5D Mark II, which is incredibly difficult. We'll talk more about that on Friday if you're here. It's because that's not a thing you can do, is shoot a cinematic movie in a set with a Canon 5D Mark II and film lenses. I used film lenses because I couldn't afford cinema lenses at all. Cinema lenses have a very liberal depth of field, and film lenses, because people, not you, but people don't know how to take pictures. So you get most film lenses have a really shallow depth of field, so that I can like take a picture of her and have this wonderful bokeh around her, and the light shine and whatever, and she's all like beautiful and crisp, and everything else is all, and people are like, that's photography. Nah, it's kind of fucked up is what it is. But anyway, shooting a film on a photo lens means that if the camera's here, the focal length is one thing. The focus has to be at one position. If I go like this, I have to change it. So if she takes a single step, like a human step, I'm going right out of. So my first AC, my first assistant camera, my focus puller on that movie. If there's one hero from that fucking movie, it's that guy, because he has the remote follow focus. He's up on a monitor. The monitor is this big. His head is like on the monitor. Fuck! He would throw things. He'd knock the monitor down. He'd yell at people. We'll talk about how I manipulated that situation once to get an actor to do something cool. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, no, I bought a shitty crane. So I spent the little money I had to buy a bunch of really shitty stuff. We shot a movie with it, and it stays in a storage compartment now forever, because everything beyond that first movie, that great experience, whatever, I've now had more money then to make stuff. So why would I use the shitty camera that I bought for that one movie if I can use a real cinema camera that they used to shoot Drive or they used to shoot whatever? If I could use that camera, why would I use my shitty one that's in a fucking box somewhere that you could buy at Best Buy for $900 right now? Like, why would I do that? It's ridiculous. And when I bought it, it wasn't $900, it was $3,000. But now it's like Who gives a shit? So I'll just use the more money that I've got now. I didn't think forward. I fucked up hugely. But I do use a lot of that equipment still. And I do get a lot of flack because the crane I have, it's an aluminum crane. You guys probably have a better crane just chilling for like nothing. I have this aluminum crane. It's an 8 to 12 foot crane. At 8 feet, it wobbles. At 12 feet, you're on a boat, effectively. It's just like, you turn it, it just goes boom, 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 boom. So if you look at how our crane is built, it's reinforced and it's got all this extra shit on it. And like I have to have the 2 dolly grips that I know how to work with my stuff because we rebuilt the dumb thing a bunch of different times. It's falling apart, the camera's falling off of it. Like, it's the worst. But I have guys now who spent 3 years using this shitty crane. And you put them on that crane and just, you put them on a regular crane. So that's really cool. And we have a pan tilt head that I've used for literally everything I've ever shot. It's the same pan tilt head that we had to reprogram it and put new chips in it and like, because it was super cheap and couldn't actually do 180 degrees. So I had to like hack it and like, I don't know. You shouldn't be an equipment owner. This is a good point. Your equipment does not make you a filmmaker at all. The best camera you can use today on the market, the best camera, like above all other cameras, is the camera you can actually get a hold of. So it could be your phone or whatever camera you have available to you. The camera doesn't fucking matter. You see the movie Pi?
Which one?
Pi.
Yeah.
Used a Krasnogorsk camera. It's a Russian fucking military camera. Who gives a shit? That's a camera that fell out of a plane. Like Russian. That's the worst camera. You see the movie Primer? Movie Primer. No? They rented some college's old 16 millimeter fucking projection camera. And they use short ends, which are the pieces of film at the end of film reels that they throw away. And they use those. That movie's won all kinds of awards. That guy went on to make he made a bunch of money. He made a movie called Upstream Color, which nobody liked, but it's fine. He's still a good filmmaker, and he's a better filmmaker than I am. So everybody knows that guy, nobody knows me. But he used the shittest equipment. The equipment doesn't matter. It doesn't. Your Dragon fucking processor and your Red camera will not make your picture pretty. Motivational growth, I showed to DPs in Los Angeles. They said, what did you make this with? How much money was the budget and what did you shoot it on? And I said, you tell me what I shot it on. I said, you shot it on the Red, either the Red Scarlet or the Red Epic, and the budget was $1.8 million. These are professional directors of photography. Nah, dude, I shot it on a fucking camera I could get at Best Buy and the budget was $149,000. It was nothing. And the reason is because that equipment didn't fucking matter. What I had was my gaffer was the gaffer who worked on Batman. He knew how to light a scene for that camera, right? He knew how to, he does big movies and on the side he does shitty little movies for fun. So I lucked out and that guy did my movie. And he also knew the stunt choreographer for Batman, the guy who plays Batman when it's not Batman. That guy was the stunt guy in Motivational Growth, the guy who pulled the girl through the wall and all that Batman. But he also was doing my project as a favor for shit money. But I had a guy who knew how to lit a set. My director of photography could tell that guy what to do with the lights. And they both together, my director of photography is way better than me. And we could light so that we did very little color correction on my movie. We did very little post-production. All of it was done on the day with the lights, with the color, because we knew the limitations of our equipment. The limitations of your equipment will drive what you do. It's not better equipment that will help you ever, 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 ever. It's not. Having good equipment is fine, but the worse off you are. Art through adversity is the only art. The worse off your equipment is, the more of a filmmaker you're going to need to be. The more concerned you're going to be about every frame of your film. You know what I'm saying? It's really important to not lose sight of that. If your equipment,
spot on just out of the camera.
Pardon?
To be spot on just out of the camera.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. You have to make sure that everything. You don't have to accommodate, but maybe you do have to accommodate, but you have to make sure that everything is nailed perfectly. The Red is a great camera. I've used it. I shot a feature film 2 years ago. It's a big sci-fi movie. It's expensive or whatever. But there were some shots that we couldn't afford to fly a camera around, a big camera around. We had a Movi system, and we couldn't afford to fly. They would have to custom build an attachment to get our Sony F55, which is a cinema camera, to fit on the Movi. You could only fly smaller things. So we did a Red Scarlet. Never shot on a Red before. I was amazed. I was shocked because we shot on the Red, and we took the data. It was massive data, just all kinds of data. And the color profile is so wide, so deep, that I could just change everything. It just looked like anything. I could just point it. It's raw, but not only is it raw, it's like super bit depth.
Full frame 5D or something like that, so it's all raw.
Right. but the color depth is ridiculous. I could just take a picture right here and make you guys look like fucking, it's ridiculous. You guys could be in the tropics or you could be in the Arctic. It's shocking. It's shocking. And it sucked. Because it sucked, man. I didn't know what I was shooting. I had no fucking clue what I was shooting. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a colorist by trade. I'm a film director. Like, now I have to go hire a guy who knows how to fucking, like, make my image look like the thing I wanted it to look like in the first place or whatever. I'll light it and I look with my eyes. That looks great. I look in the monitor. It looks like what my eyes saw. Seems good. Like, and I learned that way from art through adversity. If you gave me the red Epic or the red Scarlet when I made my first movie, it would never look as good as it does, ever. I'd just shoot it and we put some color on it later and who cares? But no, we had to spend like 2 days lighting it to make sure that it looked good. Do you think it looked good, the color? That's one of the first things you said. This guy's a visual artist for a living. You thought it looked nice, right? That's because we spent so much time. When we pointed the camera at it, the camera could have been an iPhone, doesn't matter. In fact, the camera at the time was worse than an iPhone is now, right? So that's what we shot our movie on, because we put the work where we knew the work could go. If I was a colorist by trade, I'm sure I could shoot on anything and then just go home and make it look exactly like I wanted it to do. And people do that, and I'm literally saying that I'm missing a piece of knowledge. But I do have a way to. I know how to shoot it on a phone. I know how to shoot it on a 5D, right? And we do use a cinema camera. We just have that cinema camera set to take in what we lit. My latitude, my color latitude is pretty tight on purpose. So the equipment is nothing. Throw away equipment. Every privilege you get from equipment is, in my mind, my humble, stupid, I'm not famous mind, is a step back from your creativity. If you're not solving those problems every second, you won't know what to do when you have to solve a problem. And solving the problem of what your end result is going to look like is the first problem you should solve as a filmmaker. And if what it's going to look like you decide to put off till 6 months after you shoot, you're not making a movie anymore. You're making a product. You're making the Phantom Menace. You know what I mean? It's the worst. Other questions?
Any other questions?
One question. Wow, guys, you're a talkative bunch.
Those are 2 questions.
There's one guy. 2 questions.
So don't say one question, say one guy.
You have.
Do you want to hang out with Lucian for that?
Is it true that all bread is sweet in America?
We're very violent people. You have a question?
What are the key elements for a good movie? What do you think? What is, in your opinion?
It's got to have Dolph Lundgren in it. That's a joke. Wow, that's a very subjective question, but I do have an answer. I'm going to try to be as objective as I can.
I want to know how you see a good movie, in your opinion.
In my opinion. So you want my
Yes.
subjective opinion.
Yes.
Cool. I'll start with this sort of objective thing, which is your story has to not suck. That seems like the good answer. Unless you're doing like an experimental film or whatever, and it's like, look, it's a piece of toast, and look, now she's bleeding, and look, there's a bird, and then there's Fiend. Like, that's fine. But that's not what we're doing. We're trying to tell stories. So your story has to not suck. That's like doesn't matter how good the film looks, how bad the film looks. Primer, the movie I was talking about, Pi, shot on that shitty Russian camera, looks incredible to me. Primer looks like shit. It looks like the guy's first movie. Whatever. The framing was fine. The story was fucking incredible. I will watch. It's one of my favorite movies for the longest time. I will watch it every day. If I could, I would watch that movie. It's so good. But the way it looks is. So story is way more important. Story will beat color. It'll beat sound. It'll be whatever. So secondarily, has to sound good first. So story has to sound good. You don't know this, but sorry to get a little more philosophical or maybe psychological or perhaps biological. Your brain is lying to you right now. All of you. So check it out. Watch me. Ready? This is a cool little experiment. This is something you learn in college or whatever. What just happened? I clapped, right? That happened, right? In real life, it totally happened in the physical space. Except objectively, that's not what happened to your brain. What happened to your brain was you saw me go like this, and then like a near infinite amount of time later, the sound waves made it to your ear, and then the sub-process of your brain said, "What the fuck was that?" Oh, he did this! I can actually associate those two things and make them the same thing, right? Because your brain doesn't work that way. Everybody do this for me right now. This is really dumb. Everybody, take your leg right here, take your head, take your hands, and at the same time, tap your leg and your head. Ready? 1, 2, 3, do it. Do you guys do it all at the same time? You have to hit both. You can't just do one. doesn't work that way. You've only done 50% of the experiment. Again, we have to do it again for her. Ready? Put your hand on your head. 1, 2, 3, tap. You guys all did it at the same time because you're competent human beings, right? Except you totally did it. The amount of neuronic space, the amount of like nerve fiber that between your leg and your fucking skull is so vast. It takes so much fucking time for this impulse to travel to your brain. It takes way more than this impulse. You feel this and this at the same time? No, you don't. Your brain records them in 2 separate time frames, and then it stitches them together and says, oh, those happened at the same time. You intended that. You're stupid. You should have done this first and this second, but you didn't. You thought this is, oh, idiot. Okay, well, we'll make it work. Just like with this thing, right? That doesn't actually happen in that time. You were living constantly like a 100 millionths of a second or something behind what's actually happening. You're living, I don't remember the exact numbers, unfortunately, but it's whatever the time the differential between sound waves and light, like, they're both radio waves, sorry. But between light, photons, and atmosphere, sound, physical movement, you're living that time differential plus whatever your base processing power is. That's how delayed you are to reality. What's cool is we're all delayed, some measure, some of us slightly more than others, some of us not. But so we all kind of like, no, that all happened at the same time. We all agree. But in fact, if you were to watch this with like an alien like supercomputer, they'd be like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, why are they like that? That doesn't make any sense. Why am I saying all of this dumb shit? Well, because in films, I have control over sound and image, right? If I want to fucking hit this guy, wah! Like super hard, I'll move the sound a couple of frames back. So your brain gets the sound at the same time the image comes, and your brain goes, whoa, that was fucking fast! So obviously I hit him really hard. But no, I just move the sound, and I trick your brain. Right? So sound actually makes your picture. How many movies have you seen you see an over-the-shoulder shot and the guy's saying some shit and the other guy responding? And if you've watched the movie 100 times and on time 99 you realize the guy's saying some shit, but it's not what's coming out of his mouth, right? But you have to watch it 99 times before you get that, and it's only because you've watched it 99 times that it's because your brain's like, yeah, mouth moving, he's saying the shit. Like, you can trick people that way. I've hidden like terrible cuts by just putting the guy's firing, he on screen he fires a gun twice, doof, doof, like, right? If I go, doof, doof, and then make the sound and make my shitty cut, your brain is like, that's a gun though! And you forget the shitty cut. Like, so sound to me is 60% of your picture. 60. It's more than the picture itself. Your brain, you have to, it's what is it, like side loading the information. You're getting the under processor of the computer. You're hacking it at the metal as opposed to at the UI or at the OS. You're like terrifying this scared little animal creature inside of a human brain with the sound, and you're making it convince the brain something happened so you don't have to. I don't know what will make her respond on the outside 100%, but I do know that if I give her a jump scare, like her reptile brain will respond to that. And then whatever I put on the screen will seem very scary. But it's just because something inside of her is like, run. Then her conscious brain will be like, that was the scariest movie. No, it was. Just did that a bunch and people jumped a bunch. You know, like, it wasn't that scary. It was just a trick. So sound. So good story, sound. That's probably what makes, objectively, to me, a good movie. Personally, what makes a good movie, obviously, is I think character is super important. Some people don't need character. People think Star Wars is great. Star Wars has very thin characters, but it also has the story rigging itself is very huge. So those characters can be the hero with 1,000 faces and the ultimate bad guy and the ultimate good guy and the princess that needs saving and all that other paper thin characters because the universe is so vast. I think it's very cool, but personally, character. I'd rather talk to one guy than 13 guys. It's like a thing for me. So that makes a good movie to me. In fact, one of my favorite movies is The Rover. You seen that? It's mostly a guy talking. He walks around a lot. I like JFK. JFK is like one of the most adventuring, like it's more action than like Star Wars to me, but it's mostly like people sitting and like arguing. Joe Pesci freaking out, pulling a wig off. It's mostly, so I like that. I think it's really good. I think for me, a film should have story beyond what you can experience in normal life. There's this trend, well, there was a trend in the early 2000s of making movies that are like drama based on what happens in real life. Why the fuck would I go see that? Like in this movie, people are poor and a woman is angry at a guy and they argue and then she throws a beer bottle at him and they get drunk and it's the worst. And I'm like, yeah, you can just didn't have to pay $12.50. It's right there. It's happening right there, and I don't want to see that. It's the worst. There's this. Okay, a good example. The U.S., you guys know this. We had slaves for a while. It was the worst thing ever. But there was when I was growing up, there was a series called Roots. It was a television show. It had, you guys know Star Trek: The Next Generation? Geordi LaForge, that guy. He was the main character in that. It was a really cool educational show, and it was called Roots because it started with literally the first guy that they went, not the first guy, but a guy they went and got from Africa and brought him to the United States, like the ships and all, and it went all the way to like, at that time, modern times, and what you watched his family. And how it went from like Africa to like an African-American guy family. And it was a really educational thing. I'm from Detroit, and there was like a big racial split in the 50s in Detroit. So they wanted to like sew things back together and teach people what was up. What was really weird about Roots was it was about, they had all the terrible stuff that happened to these people, but it was mostly about these characters and their lives and how you could watch how human lives were affected by all this stuff. Big deal, big deal, big deal. 2014, I think, was it? One was 12 Years a Slave. That came out 2014, 2015? 2014. 12 Years a Slave came out. Great movie. It's incredible. Yeah, it's 2.5 hours of a black guy getting beat up by a white guy. Why is that good? Like we have like hundreds of movies about the slave trade. I need something more. Yes, it hurt a lot, and yes, those were very interesting characters that beat up the black guy the whole movie. And it was very interesting characters that got beat up by white guys. But why is that entertainment? Why did I spend $12.50? That's what our movie tickets cost, by the way.
Last time I checked, the only reason that movie ever made any money was because of virtue signaling.
Sure, that's a thing. Wow, are you from Seattle? No, that's definitely a thing, but that's a problem. And I believe, forget the virtue signaling and all of the like bleeding heart, like white people really like that movie because they get to feel guilty and all this other stuff. Just strip it away. It's literally just a movie where a guy accidentally gets into a situation where for 2 hours you watch him suffer a bunch, and in the end he gets away. And then as he's leaving, he like waves goodbye to all the other people who are going to spend the rest of their lives doing what he just saw. But he's a better guy because he's kind of white even a little because he hangs out with white people. So it's the worst. Whereas something like Roots had character progression, and we watched this whole story. Yes, the torture was there, but there was also like human elements, and you learned something more than these people got hurt. I know the people got hurt. I don't think we should ever stop talking about how those people got hurt. What we shouldn't do is go watch it for entertainment. That's probably the wrong thing. To me, that and like The Passion of the Christ and like Hostel are like the same movie. I know. I'm sorry to say this. Unlike you, I'm not actually a Christian, and I don't know if you think all of America is Christian. A lot of it is. I'm not, and I literally don't know. I mean, my family is like from Sweden or whatever. I don't know what happened. I know that there was a guy, and he was like, "Be good," and the Romans were like, "No," and then they like did some bad shit or whatever. So. Like, I'm watching that movie, and it starts out, they're talking in Aramaic, which I don't know, you guys know that doesn't exist, that language. They made up half of that. And they're talking about it, and then all of a sudden the guy is like, "You're gonna be tortured now for a long time." And then, like, Monica Bellucci was in it, and that was cool, because she's very attractive. But then she got hit a bunch, and then there was a guy who turned into a girl who turned into a demon for, like, 1 second while holding a baby, and then the guy got hurt a lot. Now, if I don't have context, I don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? If you're in China and you watch 12 Years a Slave, do you know what actually happened in that movie?
You don't have a clue.
No, you don't, because the story is a bunch of events happen to a bunch of characters. I want to see character progression. I want to know why the Aramaic talking guy like went up on the stick and like a bunch of bad stuff happened to him. I mean, I technically know, of course, why, but I want to, in my movie, removed from culture, I want to understand why. Maybe that's another thing. I think a good movie is self-contained. You shouldn't need to know what happened before the movie and what will happen after the movie. You should know what the movie presents you. What happened 6 years before Ellen Ripley signed up to be on the crew of the Nostromo? Who cares? She was on the Nostromo, an alien got on the ship and ate a bunch of people, and she escaped. Yeah, good movie. I should end the movie happily. I should end the movie not happily, because she then drifted for 50 years in space. But like, I should end the movie with a complete idea of what my story was. Unless it's obviously setting up for a sequel. It better be very good though. Like the best ever. Ever. Does that satisfy you, or do you need...
What?
Yeah? Good color is good. Blood, vomit. I want vomit in my movie. No, I'm joking.
Is this thing on?
Yes.
Good. So, what do you think about the fact that today absolutely everything is made with sequels in mind? What do you think about the complete disappearance of...
I think your statistical set is small. I think you're using what the loudest activities of a westernized cultural movie system are kicking out, and I think you're ignoring hundreds, if not thousands, of independent films that come out every year. Last year, for Sundance Film Festival, there were 12,500 submissions for one film festival. 12,500 in 1 year. 12,500. That's more movie hours than there are man hours to ever watch any of them for the festival. They literally sent out letters that said, "I'm sorry, we can't possibly watch your movie." That's what I think. I think that's, in 1 year, 12,500 movies were submitted. Of those 12,500 movies, at least 1,000 of them, I'm saying 1/12 of the entire group of movies had to be of some kind of value, and then they let like 200 into the festival. So that's 200 films in 1 year. In 1988, you didn't have 200 films gone in a year. It didn't happen. So I think you're looking at this, you got one little piece of the statistic and you're staring at it. Yes, I know it's super popular to be against superhero movies right now and you're super into it or whatever. But unfortunately, that's not the case for all these. Have you ever heard of The Rover? It won like 30 awards. It's an incredible movie. It's got Guy Pearce in it. No, you didn't. But I mean, I did. It was in theaters, right next to the Avengers 3 or whatever. It was right there. It existed. So you can't just look at you can't take your bar graph and only look at the top section and go, look at how fucking weird it is. Like, there's so many movies coming out right now that I'm terrified for the movie I'm finishing this year because it'll get lost in the fucking noise. There are too many movies, and it's good. And my film isn't about a sequel, and all the films I'm competing with have nothing to do with a sequel. So how do I feel about it? I feel it doesn't exist. I feel like Hollywood's releasing some really popular stuff because you guys are buying it. That's why you know about it, because China's buying it. But stop buying it.
Actually, that ties into another question I
Yeah.
have. What do you think of the market saturation and how it's literally making everyone unsuccessful? Because there's only so much.
So you had two questions. One of them was why are there so few movies, and the other one was why are there so many movies? What do you think about there being so many movies?
Okay,
No, I'm kidding.
AAA, the first question definitely applies to, big budget.
Yeah.
But the second question is still relevant because it's perfectly tied to low budget productions.
Sure. No, I get what you're saying. What do I feel? I'm terrified of the market saturation, obviously, because I'm trying to, like I just said, release a movie in a world where there are a billion movies. But I also think that if you were to come to me and say, hey, do you want to shoot Godzilla 2? I would say yes. Immediately. Which is the conversation I was having in Los Angeles. They didn't offer me shit. They just said, we're thinking. But I would take that in a heartbeat. You know why? Because Michael Bay, man, he made like 3 independent films that he would never been able to make if he didn't make a bunch of Transformers movies that we didn't need to care about. China foots the bill for those films. I would make the best fucking Godzilla 2 or the best fucking whatever. You want to make the new Avengers movie? You want to make, I don't know, the Avengers, I don't know, whatever, pick a hero. Do you want to make the next Judge Dredd movie? Shit, yeah, I would live that. I would do that forever. No, do you want to make the next big fucking, yes. Do you want to make the Aquaman movie? Yeah, totally. Fucking hate Aquaman. I would make the shit out of that movie. I'd make the best movie ever. In the 6 months pre-pro before I went to Los Angeles to work on that movie, I would know more about Aquaman than the guy who made fucking Aquaman. Because right there, I get to do my art. I get to put me in something that a billion people will see. And I get to take from that the opportunity to make something incredible. If you ask any independent filmmaker, I'm talking to all of you internet, all 17 of you who are watching. Sorry, I shared it on my channel, they don't know. And I don't even know what time it is over there. If you ask any independent filmmaker, the guy who says he wouldn't take an $88 million budget to make a AAA movie, that guy doesn't want to make movies for a living. He wants to feel like he made art. He's the guy who came out of film school and talked about making movies. I have to say that. That's my personal opinion, and it might be wrong, but it might be objectively wrong. I'm sure you can find the guy or whatever. But it's my opinion that the person who doesn't take the commercially viable opportunity to make art for a living doesn't want to make art for a living. That's it. If I had one Michael Bay movie, I could make. My last movie cost $500,000. My last movie cost 1/30 of what Michael Bay made just to shoot a movie. Right? So I would just take that money. Yeah, I'd take that money. I'd make the best fucking movie I could. I'd make Transformers 6. And people would say, the first 5, I don't know, but 6. Do you guys remember Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban? No, you do? Do you remember the 5th one? Order of the Phoenix. Prisoner of Azkaban was super important because that filmmaker who made that was an independent filmmaker. And that movie didn't look like the first one. That movie looked awesome. It looked like it was creepy and dark and Gary Oldman screaming in the posters and it's all right. Remember that movie? course you do. If you saw it, you remember it because it was the Harry Potter movie that was awesome. Yeah, kind of. After that one, they all tried to pick up after the success of that one, right? I get you. I'm with you, but I'm trying to say that the filmmaker changed the tone of that franchise by making an art film. I would do that. I'd make an art film all day long if I could. It'd be awesome. It's cool. So yeah, no, that's I feel that market saturation is terrifying. I feel that, however, there's this question. Well, everybody can make movies now. I can make a movie with an iPhone that is better in technology than the camera that I used to make my first feature film, which went off to make money, right? So how is it that I can be unique? Well, that's a stupid question. You're unique already, right? If you're a storyteller, you don't need camera equipment. You don't need to. It doesn't matter if there are 1 million people making movies or 2 people making movies. You can be unique. You're already unique. If you're not unique and there are 3 people making movies, there will really only be 2 people making movies and you making a movie that somebody else made because you're not unique, right? So I'm not afraid of the market saturation. I know that if you watch Motivational Growth, you will say, like Ain't It Cool News said, it's a movie unlike any movie you've ever seen in your entire life before. They didn't say entire life. I added that for flavor. It just said it's a movie unlike anything you've ever seen before. That was in a world where I couldn't get into festivals. I got into 33 festivals. I submitted to 200 festivals. Got into 33. I submitted to 200 all over the fucking world because I wanted to get that movie out there. And Ain't It Cool News, which watches, if you go to Ain't It Cool News, you guys know about Ain't It Cool News? It's like a film review website, you know. They review everything. And all the 100, they have indie people and horror people, and they just review everything. And they put mine in they found it. I didn't send it to them, they just found it. Because they review everything, and it stuck out. It's out of the sea of fucking movies that came out, they found my movie and said, this is new and unique. They didn't say it was the greatest movie ever made. They didn't say you should go buy it. They said it's unlike anything you've ever seen before. And I did that in a world full of saturation with no money. So I'm using survivorship bias now and saying you should just go do that. Just do that. Go make a movie unlike anything anyone's ever seen before. Seems easy. It's not easy. Is that it? Do you have a microphone?
I have another question. What do you think about the hype of the superhero movies there are lately? I mean, for the past 10 years, they are like the home box office of every other whatever. Do you think that they will last in the next 5 years?
No. But it's not because they suck. They don't suck. It's just like the westerns, man. We'll get oversaturated with it.
Well, they got a lot of CGI and stuff like that, and people just pay to see that, but the story of the movies, usually sucks. It's really, really crappy. I mean,
does it usually suck
God.
though? Like usually, how many have you seen?
Have you seen Suicide Squad?
Yeah, that fucking sucks.
It definitely sucks. I mean, I was like, what? And I really had some huge expectations from that movie. I said that, okay, I don't like the Avengers. I don't like the other stuff because they're overhyped and over whatever. Yeah. But I had some expectations from this one, and it was, what? Really? It was like one of the shittiest movies I've ever seen. And I really
I totally agree. It was poop. There's like actual human feces in a cup. If you put that in Suicide, they're like, it's a camouflage. You don't know which one's which. Like, to me, it's my humble opinion, my personal I'm nobody opinion. But that doesn't mean all those movies are terrible. I mean, pardon?
Most of them are, and
I'm sure you can find a bunch of friends who say most of them are, but I mean, if you look at them not as superhero movies, but instead as movies, you take away that predisposition and try to see what they offer to you as actual storytelling, a lot of them are really good. You guys remember the original Punisher? With Dolph Lundgren? That's a joke! It's a callback because of the movie with Dolph Lundgren in it is a good movie. That was a joke. The movie had Dolph Lundgren in it. You guys don't even know who Dolph Lundgren is. This is the worst. Yeah, of course, he was a Universal Soldier. I kill you, one punch. Remember that? I will break you. That guy's great. You guys love Russians, I hear. So you guys like that movie. Rocky IV. It was a joke because you don't like Russians at all. We didn't either. That's why we made Rocky IV. I will kill you. Yeah, no, I think that it's the popular genre right now. We found something that's super marketable. For a while, when dudes came back from World War II, they could buy TVs. And what did they grow up? They grew up with stories of the Wild West in the United States. So for a big boom time from the 50s to 70s, what do we get? Westerns everywhere, because those guys who had enough money to buy TVs, enough money to buy movie tickets, enough money to raise their kids like real American men, they brought them to watch Western movies. I love Western movies, but man, there are like 9,000 of those movies. You talk about how many, this is a problem. We do this thing now. I don't know why we do this. I think it's because of information availability. The internet is probably why we do this. You're like, so many superhero movies. Well, probably like 80 superhero movies. How many Westerns? 1,000 westerns. The scale is different, man. I think we get to talk about it on the internet, right? Like my dad's dad or whatever, he saw one western, was like, I don't like it, and didn't tell anybody. He just didn't go see it again. But now, I don't like it. I'm gonna tell the world, and it all sucks. Everything's the worst. The world's falling apart. We're famine and war, and except that we solved half of the world's water problem, and fewer people died due to war in the world in the last year than had in like all of human history prior. And it's actually really great. We just talk about how things are shit a lot. So saying something like, every movie is a fucking sequel or a superhero movie, and they all fucking suck. Okay, 80 movies suck. Last year, the IMDb was submitted 400,000 movies, so that doesn't mean they all happened in 1 year. Those are movies that last year's submission, so those are movies from the 60s all the way till now. 400,000, not 80. So, I mean, the problem isn't availability, it's signal to noise ratio. People are paying a lot of money for you to hear about Suicide Squad. It seems shocking to me that none of you have heard of the movie The Rover. Not really, because I know why I'm about to tell you why. And every one of you have heard of Suicide Squad. The Rover had like a, $40 million budget or something, and had, the only reason I heard of it is because it was that or the new Avengers movie. And I needed to see a movie, man. I'm a filmmaker, so I went and saw it. I knew about the new Avengers movie because it was on cups and plates and buses and fucking satellites. And I woke up one morning and there was a guy over me going, you should watch the Avengers movie. He was paid a bunch of money to stand in my apartment. That's a joke, that didn't happen. But I'm just trying to say, like, they're trying to sell a product. You guys know what, here, this is a new one for you guys probably. You ever heard of, I know this is strange, Coca-Cola? Coca-Cola, I know you guys know. The joke is, Coca-Cola is sugar water. It's fucking like 6 ingredients. It's the worst shit ever. It costs nothing to make and nothing to sell and nothing to produce and nothing. You guys all know about it. Is it the best drink? Literally, on Earth, the planet Earth, as you as a human organism, is it the best thing you can be drinking? No. Probably not. It's probably like one of the worst things you can be drinking regularly, right? But you hear about it. Coca-Cola Suicide Squad. You just hear about it. There's a lot of marketing behind it to tell you about it. Everybody on Earth will know about it because they're terrified. If you went and saw Suicide Squad, you pirated Suicide Squad. Romania guys, you guys. I had to buy this guy a copy of my movie to watch at his house because I was like, you can buy it for $3, or you can pirate it. And he's like, well, I'm not going to get it if I can't pirate it. $3. That's like, what is that? Like,
I was just curious.
I don't think so. I think because you didn't have it when I came over. It wasn't there. I bought it for you at lunch. I'm joking. But the joke is, it's either $3 or don't watch it. Like, pirate it or don't watch it. The $3 is not an option. That's a Romanian joke because you said you pirated Suicide Squad. On stream, by the way, his name is I can tell you his name. It's a joke. It's in Romanian.
Here is not illegal, so.
Yeah, exactly right. It's not illegal to pirate. That's so weird, man. I'm happy you couldn't find my movie. That's important. So I think superhero movies are, I think you shouldn't turn away any media. That's another thing. As a filmmaker, don't turn your nose up to experiences. Don't do it. If somebody says, hey, you want to go see this superhero movie? Don't go. Don't like ignore it. Don't say, oh, superhero movies, poo. You just like, you're literally saying, oh, education? No, I don't want that. I don't want to sit there and learn how not to make a movie. I don't want to sit there and learn what the best way to show, like what was it? Oh, fuck. It was a superhero movie. I don't remember which one it was because they're so fucking many. Oh, I know what it is. It was the Civil War? Yeah, Civil War. Okay, Civil War. There's some action cutting in that movie. I cannot tell you how they did it. It's fucking stunning. It's stunning. Civil War is a bunch of superheroes that fight for no reason at an airport.
It's shot in Romania, partially.
Cool, but did I know that? No, at the airport. And the airport was a blue screen. So, like seriously, the whole airport thing was all fake. You watch that, and it's actiony, and it's fun, and Spider-Man's cool, or whatever. But, it's not, I'm not gonna like, I can't remember most of it. I remember Spider-Man. I remember the Black Panther was badass. That guy was cool. His dad died, whatever. Ant-Man was funny. Yeah, he's very funny in the movie. So that's about it. But what I do remember most is a filmmaker, and this is why that's why I went to see Civil War. There's some action cutting in there that I will study. I had to see it. I'd never seen it in a movie before, and I probably won't see it in another movie. There was some action cutting in there that I literally don't know how they transited scenes. I have no clue. There's like 6 different parts. There's the highway chase. I don't know if you know this, but half that highway didn't fucking exist. How did they do that? How did there's only one cut that I can see that I know how they did. When the Winter Soldier dude jumps down from one of the highway bits to the bottom, they hide a cut in there and they change the scene, but it was super obvious. But the rest of it, there's action cutting in there that I do not understand. I don't know how this guy flew through the air physically with a human face on it, slammed against the wall, the thing fell, and the camera shot through the building, and it was just slick stuff. You throw a bunch of money at it, you can do anything. But I want to know. I want to work that shit out. I want to know. There are shots in Russell McCullough's Highlander from 1980, whoever gives a shit. There are shots in there I don't know how they did. Remember the part where you're in the aquarium, and the camera pans up the aquarium, and then you're in a lake? And like McCloud is on a boat on the top of the fuck, and it looks like the transition is hidden, but they didn't have CGI because it's the 80s. So how the fuck did they do that? Who knows? It's incredible. What the fuck? I need to know that. Watch everything. Watch everything. If you want to be a filmmaker, consume. Seriously. Go home and watch something tonight. Watch a thing every day. Watch something. Take notes. Every movie has something in it. There's not a Tommy Wiseau only. There's one guy who made a movie ever and didn't care about making a movie. If you watch a bad movie, all those superhero movies, there's some guy who thinks he's doing it. There's some guy who thinks he's fucking making it. You ever watch the documentary behind the Ghost Rider movie? Those 2 guys that made Ghost Rider?
The second one?
The newest one, the latest. Sure. Great. That's all you guys talk about. I have a whole thing I'm trying to say. This guy wants to go home. Sorry, it's them. Did you hear them? Filmed in Romania. I don't care. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, if you watch the documentary of those guys making that movie, they're bleeding. They have a guy on a motorcycle. So it's 2 guys. One guy's the director, the other guy's the director for the photography, and they switch. One of the guys is on a fucking ninja motorcycle, going 80 miles an hour. Another guy's next to him on fucking rollerblades with a camera between his legs, an inch from the ground, because they think they're doing it. That movie was shit. That movie was terrible. Those guys bled for that movie. There's stuff in that movie when Nicolas Cage just goes flying off the building, his head lights up on fire, and is what the fuck? That's great. You can take that. You can learn from that. There's not a person, there's not a filmmaker, a serious filmmaker, who tries to make shit or tries to take your money. The guy, David Ayer, who made Suicide Squad, did you see Fury? Did you see anything David Ayer made before that? It's a good fucking movie. That guy's a filmmaker. He's bleeding for that art. It goes through marketing problems and test cases, and they recut it and they reshoots it, and what you get in the end is bullshit. Okay, David Ayer bled for a movie. Jared Leto he's pissed off now. He's tweeting him out, shitty things, because the movie he acted in was not the movie you saw, right? People bled for that, and there are pieces of David Ayer in that movie you're gonna find. There are pieces of every filmmaker in those movies. If you ignore that shit, yeah, you might as well not try. You're not trying, you don't care. You should be part of it. You should watch everything. Watch everything. We were watching the Romanian movie. There were shots in that Romanian movie I thought were ballsy as fuck, man. There's a beautiful shot. He's in the toilet. There's this top-down shot on the toilet. He starts pulling up. And it just keeps going. They built like the toilet just kept going up. And then right at the point where you're like, this is absurd. Because it's like he's like a mile down. They put fucking stained glass windows in the top, so it looks like a church tower, as a visual gag. And it was so ballsy. There's no fucking reason for there to be Sistine Chapel style windows up there, but it's just because he showed the filmmaker knew it looks dramatic. We're still going. This is fucking ridiculous. And he put the windows in. He was like, oh my God, I never considered that. That's fucking genius. I would do that forever. And then I realized, I did some research on my phone, there's a shot in a movie with Ryan Reynolds called Buried. You hear that movie? It's Ryan Reynolds is in a coffin. It's not a good movie. Yeah, that's the one where he's buried. Exactly. Ryan Reynolds does a great job in that movie, but the plot eats itself. The ticking clock in that movie is that he's going to run out of air, but you watch him for 2 hours stuck in this box, like constantly going to run out of air. And he's yelling and screaming, and he lights a lighter and leaves it on so you can see his face. So that's burning oxygen. He's going to run out of air, but the lighter's fine, and he's fine. He's not dying of fumes from the lighter or whatever. And then at one point, he actually turns all the way around in a coffin. You can't do that. Anyway, there's a shot, though, where he's like all crying, and the camera starts pulling back, and it's just the coffin forever. Right? And you read the interview, and they're like, I got that shot from a Romanian movie. And you're like, yeah, you did, but there was no stained glass or anything. You only did half the gag. But that guy stole from a Romanian movie or whatever. I don't know. I just read, like, I think I read a forum. Like, that reminds me of a whatever. But it seems like if you watch a bunch of shit, it doesn't matter how good. But the Romanian movie we watched was really good. But if it was bad and they had that shot, I would have taken that shot away. You know what I mean? So turning your nose up at stuff, not that you want to be a filmmaker, you're making a game, you're making an awesome game right now, so maybe you don't give a shit. But and I think you're only here because your brother's here and you got to get a ride home or something. But if you want to be a filmmaker, good. If you want to be a filmmaker, you need to know films. The only way to know films is to watch films, all the shitty films. Go watch everything. Go spend your time doing fucking 60s vampire movies from Italy.
Watch The Room.
Yeah, that's the one I was telling you, the one guy you don't have to really worry about. Because there's nothing in that movie that's redeeming. However, if you watch Zombie 2, there's some underwater photography in that movie that has never been able to be done before. A guy fights a shark. It's brilliant. It's fucking stunning. It's just crazy Italian guys. They put a guy in the water and fought a shark, like a real fucking shark. you can never see that anywhere else. Just watch that movie. It's awesome. It's so good. But the rest of the movie is poop. You guys, did you ever hear the movie Free Jack with Emilio Estevez? Oh man, it's a bad movie.
What about
This means hold on. There's a movie Free Jack with Emilio Estevez. It's a movie. It's a really cool cyberpunk movie where Emilio Estevez is a shitty like F1 driver, and he has a girlfriend, and he's like kind of a jerk, but they love each other and whatever. And then his front wheel hits the back wheel of another car and it goes flying into the air and crashes into the overhang, the bridge overhang on one of the race car tracks. And he wakes up. And he's in some kind of weird future sci-fi place, and it turns out in the future they're running out of resources and they're running out of bodies. So what they do is they find people at the point of death and they use a time device to steal the body at the point of death, like on like a moment that would destroy your body. So like the thing is like we couldn't even find the car was in 1,000 pieces and you couldn't even find his bones. Like that's the kind of thing. It's because they froze time and they took Emilio Estevez out of the car. And then let the car explode. They put another corpse or something in there and they exploded. And then some rich guy pays money to get his consciousness put into Emilio Estevez's body. And Emilio Estevez is really hot, I guess. So they steal him from the car and they put Anthony Hopkins' brain in him. Or they try to, but he fights his way out. And the rest of the movie is him running around like this dystopian future, being chased by Mick Jagger on a motorcycle. I'm not kidding. This is a real movie. And it's fucking really bad. It's terrible. And the weird ass taxis. One of the guys, Buster Poindexter, is one of the taxis. Like, hey, brother, and he's like, whatever. It's a really bad movie. However, there's a moment, one fucking moment. It makes it one of my favorite movies of all time. Anthony Hopkins walks up. They're in the spiritual switchboard where they keep all the consciousnesses, and they find out that Anthony Hopkins' consciousness is dying in a computer, and they need to catch Emilio Estevez so they can put his brain into Emilio Estevez's body. And the whole time, Anthony Hopkins has been hitting on Emilio Estevez's ex-girlfriend as an old boss guy so that then he could be Emilio Estevez and then get with the girlfriend. It's so bad. So, but anyway, Anthony Hopkins, and they say the crime rate in the United States is high. No, I'm kidding. Oh, all right. In the United States, we don't have ambulances and you'll die right outside of the hospital. It's the worst. That's not true at all, not even a little bit. And the ambulances are everywhere, and they cost a lot of money. What ends up happening, though, and this is super important, is Anthony Hopkins is like, okay, all you have to do is put your hand on this device, and I'll give you your brain back or your body back or some dumb shit. And they both put their hands on the device, and it's a trick. Anthony Hopkins is going to steal his brain or whatever, because science fiction. But this one moment, Anthony Hopkins walks up, and he's looking through this computer monitor. And it's got drapes on it because it's supposed to look like a window or whatever. And they're standing in the room and he's looking at them through the computer monitor and he goes, "Welcome to my mind." And all the things fall away and the camera spins around and they're in this weird field and Emilio Estevez is standing there and Rene Russo is there, not Rene, whoever was there. She's standing there and they're freaking out and he keeps talking. He's walking forward. He's got a glass. He's like, "Listen, I wanted to tell you, I've been in love with you for this." And as he's talking, shit's exploding, the city's going up and the city's going down, and he's talking, and it's just this mind-bending moment. And every time I think about a movie that I want to put something cool in, I'm like, "Welcome to my mind." But that movie is shit. Everything, I'm gonna make her, she's not watching it, I'm gonna force her to watch this fucking movie. And then, I swear to God, we'll be sitting on a couch, and Emilio Estevez will put his hand on the thing, Anthony Hopkins will come up, and I'll look at her, and I'll go, "Welcome to my mind." And this thing will fall apart, and it's just the best fucking thing. And I wish one day in my life I could make a moment like that in a film. And I would never have seen that moment had I not seen that terrible film. There's a movie called Beyond the Black Rainbow pirate that movie. No, go buy it. If you can buy that movie, buy the movie. It's fucking insanity. What's one of the movies I want to watch with you like immediately?
That movie.
Beyond the Black Rainbow. The problem is the first time I saw it, it was the worst movie. It was I was like, halfway through, I'm like, no, bullshit. Fucking the worst movies. Like, just loud noises and colors, and it's some Greek dude, and it doesn't make any fucking sense. And it's why is Greek cinema? Did you guys see Dogtooth? That movie didn't make any sense. Why do Greek people not know how to make a fucking movie? I thought they invented storytelling. This is terrible. Then I watched it a second time because it like hung on me. Like, why is this movie so fucking bad? I watched it a second time, and I was like, maybe I was a little judgmental the first time through. And I gave us a couple days, and I kept telling my people, don't fucking watch it. It was a terrible movie. I'll watch it another time, so you don't have to watch it again. I watch it again, and it's like, oh, fuck, this is actually like architected brilliantly, and my brain wasn't in the right place to see this movie when I first saw it. And like when you watch, I didn't read anything about it. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. Maybe, really? And that ego got in the way when I first watched it. I was like, is this really good? Is this a really good movie? And I just didn't understand this kind of good, the Greek good. Did I not, it's like our yogurt is like water and their yogurt is really good. You put honey in it, it's fucking the best yogurt. And I was afraid to try it because it looked like paste when I first tried it, but now I'm eating nothing but Greek yogurt watching this movie. Like that's what it was like. And now it's like one of my favorite movies, and it's not because I got used to it. It's because I wasn't used to the idea of it when I first watched it. And if you read the reviews, it went to festivals. Everybody saw it the first time I saw it. They all saw the same thing. This is some Greek bullshit. It's got some noise and it got some color. It's like the last 19 minutes of 2001 for like 2.5 hours. Like that's what it feels like. You know what I mean? That's what everybody's saying. And that's cool. That's happened like 6 times. I don't notice till just now. But it was only after watching the movie a bunch that I realized that it was really brilliant. And when I made my last feature film, a science fiction movie that's really beautiful and really big and really epic. Remember then the girl walking in the big space thing? That I took my director of photography. We sat down, we watched Beyond the Black Rainbow. We watched this, and then we shot that. And that reel got me meetings in Los Angeles because I watched a movie that I originally couldn't make it all the way through. So watch the fucking, he's not even listening anymore, he's talking to the girl. I guess it's fine. Girls are better. Girls are more important. That's okay. Is she your girlfriend? Yeah. What about your wife, though? You told me yesterday that you had to talk to your wife. Just getting that guy in trouble because he said that thing about the pirating. If he watches superhero movies and wants to make movies, he might find some stuff in there that's really cool. You guys ever see the movie Darkman? Yeah. It's a superhero movie. It's a superhero movie. It's a superhero movie. The superhero is named Darkman. He's in the comic book. That doesn't mean it's not a superhero movie. It's a fucking superhero movie. It's Darkman. He's a superhero. He's like a famous superhero movie.
It's a movie with a superhero, yeah.
It's a movie entirely about the origin of a superhero. That's all it is. It's a superhero movie. What?
Even the Punisher is a good movie. The Punisher, the first one.
Dolph Lundgren.
Even with Dolph for the 80s.
Yeah. There is no other Punisher movie. There's no other Punisher movie. It's Dolph or nothing. I'm just kidding. Those are fine too. But I'm just saying, like, don't not watch things. Watch things. Watch everything. If you're a filmmaker, you have to consume. You have to consume every bad thing. Like I said, because you can learn how to not fuck up a movie. Or you can learn how to do something really cool in the context of something that itself is not very cool. Welcome to my mind. It's important. It's the you've gone too long police. You guys have any more questions, or can I get some food or something? Can I tell you guys something interesting? Everybody's telling me that the McDonald's here doesn't taste like the McDonald's in the United States. You're so wrong. It tastes almost exactly the same. Her family used to work for McDonald's, so she's had a lot of McDonald's. The only thing that was different is that to me, the French fries tasted slightly stale. And to her, she said that it's because of like a millimeter difference in cut of the French fry. That's it. Everything else is almost exactly the same.
You can ask me questions afterwards.
Yeah. There's almost nothing different, except that you could get Mitch there, and that you guys put cucumbers all over shit, so that's weird. But that we ordered like a special one. We ordered like the regular stuff and then some special shit. The regular stuff was 1-to-1, so don't feel so fucking special, Romanians. Your McDonald's is exactly the same. I'm sure it's the same everywhere. It's not your fault, it's McDonald's fault. They do it everywhere. That's supposed to be funny. I'm supposed to end on a funny note, and you guys are all annoyed. Dreams dashed. That kid's jumping out of a window. Any other questions? Friday night, I'll be doing film stuff. Tomorrow night, I'm going to do a game thing. little bit more succinct than this because I only have one night and I'm not trying to talk about theory. I'm trying to talk more about actually doing a thing. But Friday night I'm going to talk about actually doing filmmaking stuff, like all tips and tricks and stuff. And I'll show you cool examples and we'll go through neat things that people have done in movies to make things happen. Remember in the reel that I showed you there was a guy falling in slow motion? He didn't fall in slow motion. We moved the camera very slowly around him as he hung from the ceiling and went like this.
No way.
Because the 5D doesn't have slow-mo on it, right? So we couldn't afford to do. That's from my first movie. That's a nice tip and trick, right?
5 frames, I think, right?
Pardon?
24 and 25.
Yeah, that's it. We did 24 frames a second, had the guy just going like this. He was hanging from a thing, and he just goes. we slowly moved the camera. It wasn't that dumb aluminum. So every time we moved the camera, like we did 20 takes. The first 19 takes, the camera would go. So that obviously kills the illusion, because it's slow motion, it wouldn't go like this. Because if that were the case, then in real speed, the camera would be going everywhere, and it'd be all fucked up. In that movie, I did forced perspective. One of the biggest characters in the movie, he stands like 6.5 feet tall, big, brutish guy. He's only like 5'7" or something. He's like this tall. But we had to use forced perspective because he's a great actor and he fit the role perfectly, but he was only this big and the guy is this big. So we used forced perspective like they did in Lord of the Rings, and we put him closer to the camera, and he was on a 9-inch platform, and every time we moved stuff, just tricks. I'll teach you all that kind of stuff. How to make blood. Probably not how to make blood. Ketchup will work if you're in black and white, it's fine. That's it, no more questions. All of you want to get out, but you're super too polite. I like it. Let's keep talking all night. Nah, I need to eat something. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Very welcome. All right. So now that. Wait, actually, it's an American tradition that you clap as long as I spoke. So continue. Good job. Hi, thank you.